Hello, very good morning. You're welcome to The Big Issue. My name is Selom Adunu. The Big Issue is live on 97.3 Citi FM. We are happy, as always, to come your way again this morning to look at the matters that have been of concern to all of us, matters which have been discussed throughout the week, and matters which concern our nation. The Big Issue is your platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. The show is live and interactive. As always, you can join us via our WhatsApp number 0549 986 996, and we'll be happy to share your comments with the rest of the world. We have a big conversation today. It's really about the 24-hour economy proposition by former President John Dramani Mahama, flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress. After he spoke about the 24-hour economy, it drew a lot of reaction. People said, or some have said, that it is not feasible. Some have said that it is not novel. Some have said that indeed it is being done already. So there's really nothing new about that. But what really is in the 24-hour proposition? What sectors of the economy will be affected? And can you actually legislate a 24-hour economy, or it must be natural and spontaneous? These are the matters we'll be concerning ourselves with. And quite related to that is the proposed legislative instrument that is seeking to restrict the importation of some 22 products into the country. How will this help the economy grow? Is it an avenue to breed corruption or to push for local production? How would all of this feed into the so-called 24-hour economy if the two are to work together? Once again, I'm Selom Adunu. I'll take a short break. I'll return, provide some updates, introduce my guest, and then we'll get a discussion underway. You're welcome. Yeah, welcome back to The Big Issue. This morning we are looking at the big discussion on the 24-hour economy proposed by John Dramani Mahama. The TUC has said that it appears, or it is actually the game changer, should it be implemented well, or should it be implemented? Vice President Bawumia has said that Mahama himself doesn't understand the 24-hour policy he's talking about, and that it is happening already. Digitalization is making it happen, and already institutions operate 24 hours, including chobas. That comment from him hasn't really sat well with quite a number of people. They think that he should have told us what his alternative is. Economists have also said or wondered how this 24 economy will operate. Some have said that you can't force it on Ghanaians. The private sector, you cannot force it on the private sector. Maybe the public sector. But what happens to the bloating wage bill of the public sector? Should the 24-hour economy not be anchored on productivity? And we've often complained about productivity in the public sector. The NDC has said that they will provide incentives for the private sector to do this. Do we have to grow the market first before we introduce this, or we introduce this and grow the market, or we do the two at the same time? Is it a question of efficiency, or is it a question of long hours of work? Mahama said it's a 3-shift system, 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, so that everybody will get jobs to do. And it appears that the job creation aspect of the 24-hour economy is what is being attractive to a lot of the young people. We will look at all of that and see how it will pan out. The 24-hour economy was talked about by John Dramani Mahama, NDC flag bearer, where he outlined his vision, and he outlined his vision for the policy, which he believes will help reverse the alarming trend of Ghana's youth risking their lives in perilous journeys across the Sahara and the Mediterranean to reach Europe in search of better opportunities. Mr. Mahama explained that his vision for a 24-hour economy extends beyond a mere night economy focused on boosting tourism. He envisions an economy where all business sectors operate a 3-shift system around the clock, all days of the week within a secure and safe environment. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia on Monday, November 20, suggested that the 24-hour economy concept was already being implemented in Ghana and that Mr. Mahama lacked understanding of the policy. Dr. Bawumia called on Ghanaians to ignore John Mahama's proposals during the 2024 or ahead of the 2024 elections. In a response, the NDC flag bearer explained that his policy is based on a comprehensive approach that encourages and incentivizes businesses across various sectors to adopt 24-hour operations, thus creating new employment opportunities and stimulating economic growth. The following report has more.
The Trade Union Congress's manifesto presentation highlighted critical issues such as unemployment, food security, a review of labor market policies, and a strong emphasis on respecting workers' rights. During the event, the leadership of the National Democratic Congress, including its flag bearer John Mahama, who graced the occasion, assured that if elected in the 2024 general elections, his leadership would prioritize economic stability. He stressed the importance of implementing economic policies, including reducing public debt, addressing inflation, and reducing the central bank's financing of the government through the Bank of Ghana.
In the last few years, I have been outlining policies that a future NDC government will implement. And the aim is to stop the steep decline in the economy, turn it around, and stabilize it. I've also shared my position on governance and institutional reforms to ensure our country is reset and built into the Ghana we all want. It is important to note that we in the NDC will not be couching propagandist slogans and passing them off as policy. We have much to learn as a country from the disaster that has unfolded before our very eyes, when sections of our population became so enamored with empty slogans and acronyms. We will focus on substantial government issues to get the job done in a no-thrills, no-frills manner. We will cut out the rigmarole and deliver realistic policies to impact our economy and our country positively.
Furthermore, he pledged to enforce strict measures to protect workers' rights.
And more importantly, we will protect workers' rights to join a union. Work safely and free from harassment.
Meanwhile, Dr. Yaoban, the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, highlighted the need to review the macroeconomic policy framework.
We need to change the macroeconomic policy framework. It has to change. And a change that does not only lead to faster economic growth, but a change that creates jobs for people. Macroeconomic policy must focus on addressing the employment challenge through sectoral diversification, upgrading of human capacities, and improving public infrastructure to ensure equity in standards of living for all Ghanaians. At this stage of our economic development, policy must not be welded to any rigid set of principles as contained in the Washington Consensus.
All right, so that's a short report you heard. John Mahama visited the TUC, had a conversation with them, and then put before them this 24-hour economy proposition. And the TUC appeared welcoming of that, and indeed, the boss has said that it's a game changer. This matter found its way to the floor of Parliament. Indeed, in the debate on the 2024 election, a paragraph or two paragraphs or so of the 2024 budget made reference to a night economy to help tourism. The NDC feels that it's a way the government is trying to, quote unquote, steal their idea of the 24-hour economy. When it came on the floor of Parliament, as to be expected, the two sides took turns to debate the matter. Let's hear them.
Following the presentation of the 2024 budget by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to Parliament, the House on Tuesday commenced debate on the budget, whereas the majority believes that government is on track to stabilizing the economy. The minority says government has failed to heed to the call of the masses in the 2024 budget.
Mr. Speaker, if you look at this program, pages 1 to 164, as I mentioned, where you find the full outline of the economic program, you'll find that the objective number one is stability. To bring the cost of living down to a level that our fellow compatriots in this country can accommodate. Inflation sitting somewhere around the 50s, brought down or being brought down this year currently to about 32%. And the forecast is that in the 2024 financial year, to bring inflation further down to 15%. Mr. Speaker, if anybody says that an economic program like this is useless or is empty, that cannot be true. This economic program, Mr. Speaker, is a program that is sound, that is sensible, that is pragmatic, and I believe that every single member of this House must support a program that seeks to bring down inflation from the mid-30s down to 15% by the end of the 2024 fiscal year. Mr. Speaker, look at the exchange rate. This economic program before us seeks to ensure that the stability that has returned to the exchange markets will be maintained.
Mr. Speaker, when we are trying to find solutions to deal with the economy when they leave office, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is proposing a 24-hour economy. I heard somebody who has disappointed the people of Ghana. Somebody who said one village, one dam, and went and dug gutters and dug out. Somebody who said one district, one factory, and built dam. Somebody who said 1 million per constituency, and for 7 years I'm still waiting for even $1 million. He says that John Mahama does not understand the 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, Dr. Bawumia learned economics at O-level. Dr. Bawumia learned economics at A-level. He went to university and learned economics first degree. Did economics again at master's level and did economics at PhD. Went all the way to Zimbabwe to be a consultant to Robert Mugabe. We all know what happened there. Inflation was over 1,000%. Mr. Speaker, he came back to Ghana. He came back to Ghana and was the deputy governor of the central bank, where there are formulas for calculating the depreciation of a currency. But Dr. Bawumia refused that depreciation formula and used the rate of change to calculate Ghana's depreciation and got 240%. Mr. Speaker, no currency can depreciate up to 100%. If you depreciate up to 100%, it means that you have shared your entire value and you cease to be a legal tender. I was very quick to compare my big brother, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to Harry Maguire. Mr. Speaker, I now apologize to Harry Maguire. Mr. Honorable Chairman, sir, you got very angry when I used your defender as an example. Today, Maguire has turned the corner as a transformational footballer. Harry Maguire is now scoring goals for Manchester United. Mr. Speaker, Harry Maguire is now a key player for Manchester United. As for our Maguire, he is now roaming at the IMF. with a cup in hand. As for our Maguire, the economic Maguire, now was able to get pensioners to leave their homes and come and parade in the streets.
Well, so excerpts of the debate in Parliament, Adongo and his comment on Harry Maguire, and I know by now you know that Maguire has tweeted in response to that and said that he's expecting him at the Old Trafford soon. But that's just by the way. So 24-hour economy, when Dr. Bawumia, the chairman of the Economic Management Team, Vice President of Ghana, and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, on his thank you tour, got the opportunity to respond to John Mahama's policy proposition, this was what they had to say.
John Mahama says he has a new idea. And what is the new idea? He says he wants a 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy. He doesn't even understand that policy. Today in Ghana, our hospitals work 24 hours. Our electricity company works 24 hours. Our water company works 24 hours. Our phone companies work 24 hours. Miniature bars work 24 hours. Isn't it? Today, because of digitalization, the banks, you can transfer money 24 hours. You can receive money 24 hours. Isn't it? So he doesn't understand his own policy. It does not make sense. And I want you to vote in 2024 but I will bring a new vision. I will bring new policy. And we will transform this country. John is the past. Dr. Bawumia is the future. If Dr. Mahama was there, we would still be having a doomsday economy. You can't have 24-hour economy with doomsday. So you want to vote for Dr. Bawumia in 2024. We will take the country to new heights. Kuyapam Kapai. Salamu alaikum. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wa alaikum assalam. We will take the country to new heights. Kuyapam Kapai. Salamu alaikum. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wa alaikum assalam.
All right, so that's Dr. Bawumia on the campaign platform. A thank you, Thor, thanking the people of Ghana, the MPP, really, for making him their flag bearer. And so he's setting the tone for what we will see later in the campaign. Haruna Idrisu, a former trades minister and also former minority leader and a former communications minister, of course, also had cause to speak about this 24-hour economy. This was what he said.
When His Excellency John Mahama said 24-hour economy, he simply was calling for a turn around, a change in attitude, and a change in the way we do things in Ghana, including access to public services and public goods. He was not talking about chop bar operators at midnight, leaving their fufu, their tonzafi on. The speaker, he was talking about a monumental change in the way we do things. And that any public good or public service that any Ghanaian is entitled to, the 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. should not be an impediment to the attainment of it. And by that, he will be addressing unemployment. A lot more people will be employed. They will be given assurances to work overnight. Mr. Speaker, that is what happens in many other civilized jurisdictions.
All right, so that was Haruna Idrisu on the floor of Parliament. It's a big discussion that has dominated various political platforms the whole week. And come to think of it, that this policy or this proposition was in the 2020 NDC manifesto and is now gaining traction is quite interesting. My guests this morning to help us do the discussion, Dr. Abdul Rashid Pelpu, Member of Parliament for Was Central, former Minister of many portfolios of the NDC, Dennis Abuaji, Miracles, Presidential Staffer, Joe Jackson, Economist, Director of Business Operations at Delex Finance, Franklin Kujo, President, Imani Africa. We have Professor John Gachi, Dean of Business School or School of Business at the University of Cape Coast, Kwesi Nyameche, Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries. We have Joseph Paddy, Director of Public Relations of GUTA, and we have Adib Sani, who is a security analyst. It's a big discussion, and we'll have turns, or these guests will take turns to address specific areas as far as the 24-hour economy is concerned. If you recall, in the discussion and still ongoing, the matter of security has come up, how that will be done and how that will be operationalized. We'll hear from Adib Sani to tell us what his views on that is. So, gentlemen, you're welcome to the program. I'll start off with you, Doc. 24-hour economy, it was in the NDC manifesto. We'll refer to that a bit later. And when I look at this, it's and the reactions it's drawing, it makes me feel that we are almost going back to how we dealt with the issue of the free SHS. The free SHS was first announced somewhere in 2008 or so. Nobody really looked at it. It was in 2012, 2016 that really gained traction. And the response of the NDC was to poo-poo it, to say it was already being done progressively. It was not a new idea. It was in the Constitution. And so Nanado was stealing from the Constitution and all of that. Here we are, a similar thing is being announced, and as if we are just playing it out by people on different sides. Quite an interesting proposition. What does the 24-hour economy entail? What are the ingredients of this 24-hour economy? How should it look like? What goes into the 24-hour economy?
Well, thank you so much, and good morning to all our viewers, especially those from WA Central, where I'm the Member of Parliament. Essentially, if we look at the Ghanaian economy today, nobody would look at it without proposing a solution that will stop the free fall of the economy, the destruction being perpetuated in the economy, and the lack of confidence in the economy, in the international community today. If you look at it and cannot propose a drastic change, then there's something wrong with you. And so we in the NDC think that by the nature of the economy, by the failures we are going through, by the inefficiency of the people managing it, there's a need to inject into it an economic decision that will turn things around very, very quickly within the 4 years when we come into office. And the proposal to have a 24-hour economy is not a new thing throughout the world. It operates. I have seen many Ghanaians who have come home to tell me from staying in Europe and America to tell me they work in the daytime and in the night they have to go and spend 5 hours somewhere and come back home. And then they earn double salary in places where they work, depending on where they make themselves available. So if it operates somewhere and it is proposed to operate in Ghana, then you look at it to be a strange thing, or even say it's not a good thing. I heard Bawumia saying it's not a good thing. I'll be very much surprised. He himself, Dr. Bawumia, trying to look at anybody, the many people who are disadvantaged in this country, said that when he went to the UK to work, he was washing plates when he was not in school. So when you were not in school, and when it was not daytime and you went somewhere to work, what kind of economy was it? It enabled you to work in the night when you were not regularly in school. And so it is something that operates elsewhere. And we are saying that with the kind of situation we find ourselves, we would have to introduce a night economy. You work in the daytime, there's availability for you to work also in the night. We are going to encourage businesses to do that. We'll create a needed condition for people to operate within the space of time, in the daytime and in the nighttime, to quicken up the pace of economic development, to catch up the huge loss we have suffered so far, to make sure that we recreate confidence in our economy and regain the amount of loss we have suffered over the years. Remember how much debt we are in. Today, we are spending about over 90% of our total revenue in debt servicing. Do you understand what that means? Everything you earn, it used to be more than 100%. It used to be about 104%. The total revenue we earn in a year, with all the taxes you collect, you spend all in servicing our debts. In the UK, when they operate a night economy, I've read somewhere they now earn 27 billion pounds to boost up their economy from the night economy. And it's happening elsewhere. And we think that by the way the MPP has run this country, by all the lapses we have suffered, the retrogression we have suffered, we need to operate a night economy. Samuel, let me tell you something. I've been watching the league table in Africa's GDP growth. And at one point, Ghana was number 8 in Africa in GDP growth. When the APP came, the moment they came, we got up to number 10. Today, we are in number 11. Tanzania and Cote d'Ivoire have overtaken us. So we are retrogressing. We are falling behind the rest of Africa. In fact, at one point, Ghana, our GDP rose up to 78 billion, and Cote d'Ivoire was 72 billion. Now, Cote d'Ivoire has overtaken us. We have fallen back from 78 to about 72. I mean, if you are a Ghanaian and you are concerned and you are determined to change the circumstances we face now, I'll be very much surprised if anybody still thinks about NPP as a viable political alternative in this country, in the person of Bawumia. Because he managed this economy to our failure. He is the one who spearheaded the failure, and we are experiencing it today. We are bringing an alternative to solve the problem. The same man is saying it's not necessary, it's not good. Why was he compelled to speak?
I see. So you mentioned the fact that the economy is working, the 24-hour economy is working elsewhere. You cited UK, etc. You mentioned some figures to back that.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether it was imposed or whether it was a natural consequence of economic development.
Yes.
And of course, the matters of production and consumption. How will you run a 24-hour economy if we've not worked on demand? So I run a shoe factory. I produce 100 pairs normal time. I'm not able to even sell the 100 pairs because shoes from China and other places cheaper than what I produce are competing. And so my goods are in the storehouse. I'm unable to sell them. Why will I pay people extra to come in the night and work and produce what for what? Because the demand has not been created.
It is an economic consequence. If you understand the workings of an economy, if you are strengthened, if you are given a job, and you are paid for the job, you increase your consumption. So one comes before the other. You don't begin consuming if you don't earn. So when you engage people to work, they earn, and then they consume. And as they consume more, production also increases. So it's a very simple economic formulation. So that's why in many countries, in those days, in the United States, what they used to do was just to get people to even go and sweep. Do anything, just get them involved in the economy, and then give them money, and then they increase their consumption, and then production follows suit. It is what we are going to do. We want to make sure we keep people strengthened, we give them jobs. Lots of people are going around looking for jobs. They can't find jobs. Once they get jobs, they want to rent houses. Housing will increase. They want to go to the market to buy. Consumption will increase in the market. Then you see the trends in the developments occurring. So it's not as simple as that. People should no longer take Excellency Bawumia, our big brother, shouldn't take him serious these days. I mean, we have seen the failure. That is his track record. And I wish he hadn't gone out to make those questionable pronouncements about the failure of the pronouncement about
to be
the
fair,
night economy.
They said there's already a 24-hour system.
It is not true.
The job bars operate 24 hours.
It is not
when you
true.
go to certain parts, for example, when you go to Circle, if you want to fix a phone in the night or at Circle at 2 a.m., you get somebody to fix it for you.
So
that is working around the clock.
Is Circle Ghana?
No, but it is not, the point is making it's not novel.
It's not novel. Look, Bawumia, I'm surprised. You see, Excellency Bawumia told us that there's money in Bank of Ghana and that there has always been money there. But he said there's money there. When I come, I'm not going to borrow. Is it novel that there was no money? There was money in Bank of Ghana. It wasn't novel. There's money in Bank of Ghana. What he added was that there won't be any need to borrow. He will go there and take money and run this country. That was a lie. He said that he would do concrete roads. Didn't we have concrete roads? You could see the motorway, there was concrete roads. He said, now I'm not going to do asphalt or coal tar. There'll be concrete roads. Did he do it? He said he will empower the people. He will make the economy big. And there'll be jobs and jobs and jobs. I'm just quoting him. Did he do that? So, and he even said that he was going to give $50 million to Zongo community every year. You see, things that happen and now will be made a policy does not mean that they are coming from space. You cannot do a policy if it were not tried. If people in Circle are trying it and you see it happen and it is good, why don't you nationalize it? Make it national rather. Why don't you make it a policy area so people can experience what Circle is enjoying?
Very well.
So
in the case of Circle, the point is that there's demand for it. If Circle was like maybe cantonments, in the night nobody walks on the streets because everybody's sleeping in their house, I'm not sure there will be a need for any phone seller or phone repairer to be at a bus stop because there is no demand.
No, you are
for
talking
that
about
service.
Circle as a market.
Yes.
And there are several other markets elsewhere.
Okay.
Where some other production processes are going on.
Very well, I get
so
that.
you can find it everywhere else in the country.
Well. Joe, let me come to you. When this announcement was made, you were one of the first people to speak about it, and you said that you cannot really impose a 24-hour economy, as a government on people. That may be true, but it's been a week or so since you made that comment. A lot of other details have emerged from the people who are making the proposal. Do you still hold that view that you can't impose it on Ghanaians, or you think that the position has changed a bit in respect of these initial comments you made at the time a week ago or so when this was first announced?
Okay, now, first of all, hello to all your viewers and listeners. And to be honest, today I'm excited to be here. More excited than anything else. Because one of the things we should be glad for as Ghanaians is that there is a debate about how to grow the economy in the days ahead. That's a very important part of the process because we are in a very bad space. High unemployment, high inflation, high interest rates, high taxation, and this economy is actually not in that environment we cannot grow. So this debate is critical. It's critical because for whatever it is, it's allowing us to focus on what are we going to do to grow this economy in the days ahead. That is fantastic, and for that I say hooray. I was the first person to react very early, and I spoke to Umaru Sanda on your Eyewitness News. That very day it was announced. And I said, you can't impose it. You can't legislate it because really that growth is going to come from, apart from the government sector where you can talk about the courts running 24 hours or ministries, you've got to look at growth always comes from the small and medium businesses. It's very difficult for governments to generate enough employment, and however excitement you may generate with NAPCO and Co, real growth in this country will come because small people are employing 2 people here, 100 people there, 5 people here, just even one more person there. That is where the growth is coming from. And so and it's very important when we talked about fufu being pounded in at the lorry park at midnight. The emphasis was not whether fufu is pounded or not, and that it's a fufu economy. The emphasis was that there were 2 things coming together. There was the demand, and there was the person who takes up his tools to set up the chopper. And those 2 come together. So when you extrapolating this for the whole economy, you have to focus on facilitating. When I mean by facilitation, using the same example, somebody set up the Neoplan station, right? Which is a hub for the private sector vehicles to come, right? And so passengers are coming in at all times of the day. That same setup means there was light, people were coming, there was a market created. And that market enabled me as a small person, as a chopper, to come in there and then take opportunity of the market. Unfortunately, I want to digress a bit and say something. That increasingly we are seeing in this country that every time there's somebody who does not agree with you, that person becomes a hub of insults. And we're becoming an insult country. Listen, after speaking on Eyewitness News, you'll be shocked at the torrent of insults that have come to my WhatsApp. I could show some of them to you.
Wow.
As recently as last night, 4 a.m., somebody sent me, and I will not mention his name because he is my friend. He sent me a message calling me a hypocrite. And I said, when did we get here? When did reasoned debate of policy degenerate to such insults? And I'll be honest with you, what worries me about this is this. When people get into power, power tends to make them a little bit more arrogant. With this current regime, I've been known to call the current regime tone deaf multiple times. But I would have thought that in the opposition, when you're in opposition, at least you'll be more amenable to debate and discussion. And there's some, and you know why this was striking? Maybe it is with hindsight, and I and honorable people have even exchanged issues on that, about how tolerant the first regime of Mahama was. And I dare say that my own thinking is that maybe John Mahama himself is a far more tolerant person than those and those at the top. But there's a groundswell of you can't say anything. You shouldn't say anything against us, which is sad, right?
But where is that coming from?
It's coming from not the very top. I mean, listen, I'm proud of my relationship with
Doc.
I mean, if you go and look at my Twitter feed, there was a time when I even went to him and I said to him that some of the things we said were wrong. And they got a lot of, I'm very proud of that relationship. But the other people that I know who tend to belittle the discussion we are having. But back on the 24-hour economy, this is an aside. And I hope that whoever is listening, and I know some of you know yourselves because you sent me messages. Please, let's have a reasoned discussion. Take an example from Honorable Purple. Take an example even from your head of the flag bearer himself. And let's have a more reasoned discussion on what is going on and what should gladden your hearts. Listen, if you're a Ghanaian, you should be happy this debate is going on. If you're a Ghanaian, you should be happy that at least we are having a debate about how do we create employment? How does my brother get a job? How does my sister get a job? No initiative may be perfect, but at least by having a discussion, we can go ahead. Listen, it's very simple. I still stand by my position that it is both demand
and
supply. It is never one end of the equation. And that we should, in as much as you can provide electricity, etc., you should also focus on how do I generate that demand. Listen, back to where we are as a nation, right? Demand is low. Some of the things, the reason why people are not producing, and if you look in the last 4 years, out of the 4 years, 3 years, our industries have been shrinking, reducing in size. Don't even talk about increasing production. They've been shrinking.
But if there could be a policy or a system to spur growth, to stimulate that.
But to stimulate that, the demand has to come from somewhere. I dare say that you've got to look at it. If there's no money locally, and it's a chicken and egg situation, there's no job, so there's no money. And there's no money that is going to create jobs. So we are in a chicken and egg situation. Somehow you've got to stimulate it. You've got to stimulate the demand. One of the things you can look at is, how do I get money from outside? Exports. So that leads us to two things. You can export entertainment. That's tourism. You can focus on things that are going outside in non-traditional exports, at least to kickstart the economy, so that there's money coming from outside and not local demand that will generate jobs. Because truly, and it comes from even as simple things as how do we make even your station able to become an Africa-wide station, Africa-wide stuff, so that you can start earning advert revenue from all over West Africa. If you think about it, you go to Sierra Leone, you go to the Gambia, you go to Liberia, they listen to Ghanaian stations. But have we exploited getting advertising revenue, etc.? You see, my point is simply this. You can't just focus on the supply side, right? I've got to have the conditions right, and I've got to be able to also get people to take that opportunity that is available. I've not changed my position. But at the same time, I'm truly glad, even amongst all the negative comments, that we are having this debate. Because this debate just shows that as a nation, we are now concerned about how we are going to grow. Right? Listen, you've got to get to the point where we start to think about how do we get our industries competitive prices for their inputs.
Very well.
Our industries, they don't have competitive prices. So talking about, I want to expand it beyond just the issues of power and security to talk about how do we get competitive prices for our inputs, right? Listen, if you're a business in Ghana, there's a whole maze of arcane regulations, different certificates that you have to pick up, different, and each day some new person comes up and says, I need a certificate, I need a certificate, I need a certificate. And each person has his own rules, laws that you have to satisfy. We've got to simplify this.
Yeah.
As for the taxes, the least said is better. As a small business, you are inundated with taxes. Also, there's no access to finance. The government itself is crowding out all finance. Listen, 51% of all financial sector assets are being held by the government. There are a number of things. You ask the financial sector, and I'm included, I'm in the financial sector myself. I said, are we stupid? We just finished domestic debt exchange program, and we are willy-nilly sleepwalking into the same position again? That's a different argument. But worse than that, where is the money to lend to these businesses that we want to create? So I'm saying that this is an excellent argument. I'm also saying that let's not focus so much on one side, that this is really a multifaceted issue that has to be looked at holistically. Markets are important. Competitive prices for our inputs, because otherwise I want whatever you do, if I'm going to produce at a loss, I'm not about to hire a second shift. No way. I'm not about to work in the night. I also think that we should remove the arcane regulations and those high taxes. Really ridiculous. Let's make it simpler. Let's make it easier, and let's think about access to finance. But we have to agree that it can be done.
Very well.
Anybody who says that the 24-hour economy, the concept, cannot happen, it can be done. But let's think about it, and let's not break this down to who says and who says. Let's have a reasoned debate so that in a year's time, in 2 years' time, we can all start to see the jobs created. We can all start to see demand growing within our economy.
Okay, very well. So that's Joe Jackson. He's an economist and director of finance, director of business operations at Dayles Finance. Dennis, you've been on this quite a bit, and the vibe I get from your side, of course, taking a lead from what Bawumia has said, is that it doesn't make sense. He said it doesn't make sense. Mahama himself doesn't understand his policy, is old, Bawumia is the new, and all of them. People have had concern, or have real concern about that, like Joe Jackson just said. You know, the debate should continue, but to seek to make the debate have a still birth at the beginning, and the kinds of words we use in describing it, it doesn't make sense, it is already happening, it's not feasible and all of that. You know, it strangles the debate, and it doesn't make it, it doesn't open it up for more ideas to come, so we're able to progress as a country. For sure, the issue of job creation is key. The economy is not growing properly or growing well as we want it. It is key. You know, so doing all of this will spur growth, create jobs, etc. Why should we be describing it like? I thought we would have tweaked it a bit, introduced a few things in there to make it better and to make it maybe proper if the way it's being presented is not great.
So first of all, let me say a very warm good morning to my seniors. I think that you've, and not just you, just as we always do, based on the first headline, a lot of people have injected or insected several other words and descriptions that the Vice President never used. You just watch the video. The Vice President made a statement, and he was quite clear. Never has the Vice President or anybody for the MPP side said that 24 hours is not feasible. So he never used that word.
It doesn't make sense.
I'll get there. It's not feasible. Never has anybody from the Vice President or the MPP side said 24-hour policy or economy, whatever we call it, it's not one that can be done. Nobody has said that. That is why when you listen to the Vice President, he even went on to tell you some part of the economy that is already running 24 hours. So clearly that tells you that nobody could have said that. He already told you about how hospitality is running 24 hours, how health facilities are running 24 hours, how even the food we eat. And that's when he brought in the chop bar situation, and then some people try to trivialize it. But that's also a fact, it's all part of the economy. Okay, some are running 24 hours. Then he came to, the point he made with the bad idea is that this is something that is already running out, playing out. For which reason, if you come and tell a whole country that vote for me, because I will bring a 24-hour economy, and that is the idea, the brightest idea I have, then it's a very bad idea, because it is only a consequence of actions. A 24-hour economy is an output. It is an outcome. That 24-hour economy thing on its own is not a policy. Because you see, once you put a policy document together, that is why a lot of the countries who are talking about this 24-hour economy thing, they would normally call it strategy. 24-hour economy, normally they will call it strategy. And even when you read those who are describing it as a policy, you would clearly understand that they have specific tactics and strategies that they intend to execute to be able to achieve that. Salom, a 24-hour economy is purely a night economy. That is what it is. When you tell you it's not night, that is what it is. A 24-hour economy is how you engineer the nightlife to be as vibrant as your daytime economy. That is what it is. Read all the documents. Read all the countries that they refer to. The London, the Cannes strategy for London's 24-hour economy, the Sydney one, the New York City one. It is all about the night life. How to make sure that your daytime economy, your nighttime life is as vibrant as your daytime economy. The documents are all here. I've just read them. If you have time, I can read them out to you. So nobody in the MPP has poo-pooed or, all we are saying is that on its own is not the idea. What the NDC are doing, and what the Vice President is saying is that you are hiding the real issues behind the fact that I have made a declaration. You cannot declare a 24-hour economy into existence. You cannot. You can declare a tax waiver into existence. You can make a policy to remove certain taxes for water producers. That can be done. You understand? But the fact that you come to me as a businessman, and basically I share in almost all the issues that Mr. Jackson raised, to be very honest with you. I do not think that people should have issues with opposing views. Some of you know me, I'm very confrontational when it comes to this kind of debates. I have been all over the place in the past week. Even when I hear people having their own Twitter spaces, I join. Because I believe that as we enter into 2024, we should be allowing people to make decisions based on issues. People should be making decisions based on the real issues. People should not be hoodwinked. People should not be misled or deceived to take decisions which later they will regret. We have been in this country before, where the same NDC and former President John Mahama promised that they will give us a one-time premium policy when it comes to the national health insurance. They came to office and they could never implement it. You know why? Because the time they declared a one-time premium NHIA, nobody asked them how they were going to do that. And so we allowed. So hold on. So we allowed. No, exactly. Exactly. But we are. Yeah. So we are.
So even in your own government, you promised one village, one dam.
That is fine.
What we saw
that is fine. That's fine. So we are progressing. So if we bring it up, don't.
Yeah. So the debate
don't
is
deflect
important.
it.
But
don't
to say
deflect
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because for 8 years,
debate.
if you come to us to vote for you after 8 years and you say that for 8 years I have sat down, I have a strategy, I have an idea. And all the idea that I have is that I would create a 24-hour economy.
But to be fair, having this, just to straighten it a bit, you talk. Having this said that they will provide, for example, incentives, tax incentives, etc., for the private sector. That is a way.
So listen to me. Let me clarify the issue. It's a bad idea because it is playing out. So it's not the brightest idea. Now, the real issues to be discussed are what are you going to do to engineer the 24-hour economy? You remember initially when they made that declaration, we came out and said, how are you going to legislate it? How are you going to make sure that Delex Financial Services, if
but
they
never
believe,
said they will legislate.
Oh, let me. No, that was after we
said they will legislate.
That was after we addressed the fact that it is not feasible for you to say that I have spoken 24-hour economy into existence. Then they came back on another platform and said it is going to be voluntary. It wasn't part of the initial announcement. It was after we said no. You cannot force me.
We didn't also say we legislate.
Yeah, they never said they legislate.
But typically when you are introducing policies, there are two ends to it. Definitely it must be backed by something. So if it's not going to back by anything, tell us.
No, so the policy.
So a voluntary 24-hour economy is already running. You agree?
In some areas.
Yeah.
But there is no.
Yes. So what I'm
really struggling.
No, you asked me a question. You asked me a question.
But if you could let me finish, let me at least make because I'm struggling.
Okay. So 2 minutes. No, a few seconds is gone.
Oh my God. So listen, a voluntary 24-hour economy is already playing out.
Okay.
A voluntary 24-hour economy is already playing out. Because today, if you go to Tema industrial area, some people have closed and gone home after working all throughout the night. Others have been moved from their homes to their factories since last night and they are working. Others are sleeping this morning, hoping to wake up later in the day and prepare and go to work. Nutri-Snacks around the abattoir area. It's close to my neighborhood. This morning, buses were bringing workers. Others were being taken away. They work 24 hours. So there are 20 factories on that stretch. Some of them are doing 24 hours. Others are not doing. So there's a voluntary 24-hour within the industry space. In Ghana here, if you go to Bantama Street, it never sleeps. If you go to East Legon, Lagos Avenue, it never sleeps. If you go to Osu, Oxford Street, it never sleeps. There are other areas like the Takoradi industrial area that is operating 24 hours. So there are private sector institutions who already voluntarily are playing within the 24-hour space. Yeah. So if we tell you that it is already playing out, and the fact that if you come and declare, you need to give us details and why you believe that whatever it is that you are coming up with is going to be a game changer. Because it's Salom. We want to allow the NDC to just throw things out there and hoodwink everybody. How is it a game changer? This economy has difficult areas that need to be fixed. Did the game changer
come from the NDC or the TUC?
No, it's the NDC. The NDC. I mean, they are the ones I've heard them say. Well, anybody, TUC also have also stakeholders.
It was the TUC.
TUC are also stakeholders, but just like all other people, we all have our views. But the point is that transport services, if you want to travel this night, all the way to Takrady, in fact, there are buses who moved at 4 a.m. and they are going to Tamale. So transport inter-services are already running. Intra-city, the Ubers, the Yangos, the boats, they run. In the middle of the night, if you want to have a financial transaction, if you want to have a financial,
I'll come to you. Yeah.
Seconds.
No, I'll come to you. But Franklin is waiting.
But it's not fair.
No, so just conclude that. I want you to conclude.
I was looking at the time when Mr. Jackson and Honorable Rashid were speaking. I did that on purpose.
No.
I haven't even done 15% of what Mr. Jackson did. No, for real.
Around
For real.
10 seconds is gone.
But it's not nice.
No, it's okay. No, go ahead.
Otherwise, I come and sit here, you don't give me
You
the
are still
time
on the floor.
Yes, let me speak.
Yes, so
within the time. Sometimes
so you have 2 minutes.
It will be fair if you tell us. You've told me it will be 2 minutes, 4 minutes
because
ago.
you are using...
Because I watched the time. He did 12 minutes.
Just go ahead.
I have done barely 7 minutes.
Just go ahead.
So we have a 24-hour economy playing out in several sectors. So if a politician comes to tell us that vote for me, I'll create a 24-hour economy, there are questions that need to be asked. And nobody should shield them from answering those questions. Mention one country in the world that has a 24-hour economy running everywhere in the country, or even in the particular city, everywhere in the city. No. Even in London, the biggest of malls close by 9 p.m. But if you go to the Oxford Street, you will find everything you want there. We have a similar one in Ghana here. You understand? If you go to the US, it is not everywhere. If you go to Ashburn in Virginia, you will not see people running 24 hours. By 8 p.m., you have the shops closing. But in the US, there are specific areas that you realize that these things are vibrant. Why? Because it's a demand and supply situation. So 24-hour economy is only an output. If you go and give Farm Milk Company Limited incentives and say that I have given you incentives, and because of that, I expect you by a matter of mandate to run 24 hours. It depends on them. If I produce 1 barrel of yogurt every day, which is all I am able to sell the next day, no matter the incentive you give me, it is only 1 barrel I'll produce. Because if I produce 2 barrels, who am I going to sell it to? Now, if you force me to tell me that, well, you just showed that you are doing 24 hours so that I can do the incentive, do you know what I will do? I will break my labor force that I have now into 2. Bring probably 30% during the day and bring 70% in the night to come and benefit
but
from...
we'll see the numbers.
From here. But why? Don't we have free zones? Do you know the essence of free zones? Are we getting what free zones is intended to do? The incentives we give to free zones, are we deriving what free zones is intended to do? So it is an organic outcome depending on certain things that you do within the economy. And that is a challenge we've all been trying to resolve. So don't come and tell me about your aspiration. Come and tell me about what you will do. 24-hour economy is only an aspiration. It is an outcome. It is a byproduct of specific activities. You say incentives. Ask about the specific incentives. Are you not confused that today you hear the NDC talk about public sector? The next day you hear them talk about private sector. Read London, read Sydney, read New York City. The first thing you will hear them talk about when they speak about nightlife will be entertainment, culture, hospitality. Those are the key things. And they will tell you that, well, we provide security, we make sure that transport systems are working. Those are the key things. Why? ECG works 24 hours. ECG, when you call 0302-611-611, there are human beings seated who will pick your phone call and direct you to a maintenance unit that are sitting by in a pickup truck that will come at night to come and fix. So even within the public sector in Ghana today,
so
the critical areas
have 24 hours.
You are aware that EPA, even EPA, you are aware that EPA, they have a unit that works 24 hours. Those who measure decibels, noise levels, and all of that.
So they work in the night to pick the sound levels.
Because their services would require that. Now, my final point. They also speak about public sector. The public sector bit. Ministry for local. I'll finish. I'll wrap up when I come.
Let me take a break. Take us.
Okay.
This is the big issue. 97.3 Citi FM. We'll take a short break. We'll return and then we'll hear the other arguments. Don't go away. Goodness you. All right. Welcome to back to the big issue. Very warm welcome to TV viewers. This morning we're looking at the matter of the 24-hour economy, how that will play out. The NDC says it is the big idea to transform the economy, create jobs, spare growth, etc. The TUC says it's a game changer. The MPP, Dr. Bawumia, says it's nothing new. In fact, it doesn't make sense because the 24-hour economy of some sort is already running. Chobas run 24 hours, some transport owners, etc. run 24 hours, some streets run 24 hours. So that is the debate we are having. Joe Jackson says that you can't force a 24-hour economy. It must be a consequence of many things. One of my guests, Dr. Rashid Popo, has just told us what the 24-hour economy means. We have quite a number of people lined up to speak to my guest this morning, and so we are marrying that together with the LI being proposed to be laid in Parliament to restrict importation of some 22 items. Dr. Rashid Popu, Member of Parliament, Ward Central, former minister, many portfolios, is my guest. Dennis Abuaji, presidential staffer. Joe Jackson, director of business operation, Dealers Finance. Franklin Kujo, president of Imani Africa. These are my guests. Before we took that break, Dennis was on the floor, and he wants to wrap up with the public sector. Dennis.
Yeah, so the point I was making is that, again, they have questions to answer when it comes to the public sector. He said it's going to create jobs. And we all know that a 24-hour economy can only play out in only specific areas in the country and specific locations within the city. That is a fact. But you create the impression as if it's going to be all over the country. That's Mangwase. Is Mangwase going to be part? Is Akuse going to be part? Is Ekuyase, Krabuakota going to be part? So we all agree that, first of all, 24-hour economy is playing out. Secondly, it's going to be in specific areas within the country and within the cities. Thirdly, public sector. Are you saying, and you should let us know, then we can take a decision whether we vote for you or not. Are you saying that the current public sector system that we have, Ministry for Local Government, Rural Development and Decentralization, they have 500 staff. Are you suggesting that you split them into two so that half of them will work, because I have them talk about 3 shifts, work in the day and the other half will work at night? Or your suggestion is that the 500 will come and work in the day, and then you are going to employ another 500 to work in night? You need to answer that question, because immediately you answer that question, there are subsequent answers you have to give us to prove that you will not throw our economy.
How about if the answer to that question depends on demand?
That is the point we have been making. Then you would have answered us, because everything depends on demand. That is why public sector institutions who have a demand for nighttime services are doing it. Which country in the world distributes passports at 2 a.m.? Give me one. All the countries we want to be like. You have traveled all over the world.
You don't need to.
Which country in the world?
You don't need to distribute it in the
exactly.
Night. But you can do some
argument. I have them on record. That's the argument you have.
Do some work.
That's the argument you've heard members of Parliament or the NDC make. That's the argument you've heard. Again, before you come and tell us you do this, come and tell us if you are aware of what the true challenge is. Is it the case that when it comes to even passport, the challenge with our passport delay is because we don't have enough time to print and process? Is that the case? And for which reason you believe that if we do an extended service, they will have enough time to print? Or there are specific challenges which are not even related, and it doesn't matter if you bring 100,000 people to the passport office if those challenges are not addressed. So Salom, I beg you guys, this one is no fight. After all, 2024, Ghanaians are not going to vote based on only one policy. The issues affecting my hometown Latte are completely different, because the 24-hour economy is not going to play out in Latte.
No, but if you're in Accra and you work 24 hours, you get more jobs.
I'm telling you about the people in Latte.
You get more jobs. You can affect the people there.
The people in Latte. They also
can travel to the urban areas.
So you see, so there are going to be multiple issues that would inform our decisions.
Very well.
But don't shield. Well, what I see happening is that a lot of people are shielding the NDC from responding to what truly they mean by a 24-hour economy, which we already have playing out.
I don't think so. NDC is here.
Why?
And the point you have made,
all the things Honorable Rashid Pepu said respectfully. Which one responds to any of the questions we raised here?
No, but he will speak again.
No, but he spoke earlier.
No, but he spoke.
Do you know
earlier.
what is happening?
The
Do you know what the NDC are doing? They never thought completely about the policy, and that's what Dr. Bawumia said.
Like
what they are doing now, that's fine. What they are doing now is that they are now using the questions that are being asked and coming up and now putting the thoughts together, which is okay. But let us have that conversation.
Yeah, so the conversation is on. Franklin, the discussion is on. There are issues of time allocation, etc. I mean, we need a 24-hour economy for the show as well. So we can do an all-round show. And Dennis will be Salifu. Dennis will be Salifu who will work. All right, so Franklin, I mean, this whole thing, I don't know what you think about it. Is it an issue of long hours or is it an issue of efficiency? The matter of passport has come up. Shela Yakobochu says that very soon we are expecting some heavy duty or giant machines which will print about 1,000 or so booklets in an hour. So that's for the passport. Other sectors may also have similar things. Is it an efficiency matter or it is a long hour thing? I want you to address that for me.
Well, let me deal with that one immediately and then probably go into other areas. Obviously, I mean, passports are not, how do I put it? They are not, these are normal day, should I say, products. And I'm surprised that we still even have the challenges we had. I was on record recently lamenting the what's it called, Guru boys and all kinds of people who
And they are back. They are back.
passport office. So maybe it's just more governance, misgovernance, or just complete inefficiency, really. So I guess it's a critical question, really, whether the issue with passports has to do with long hours of service rather than the efficiency or the lack of the corruption. And I think it's pretty straightforward. It's the lack of efficiency undergirded by corrupt intentions. That's what basically it is, really. But, in fact, it's good to aspire, really. I think it's good to aspire to do great things. Listen, if you read the AFTA document, it is suggesting that Africa will grow, incomes in Africa will grow by almost $450 billion by 2025, and then possibly 52.3% growth. It would impact about, inter-Africa trade will grow by 52 point something percent, right? So these are all estimates that have been made. And my worry probably with politicians, whenever they make promises, is that they do not even estimate what value addition in terms of figures that would be adding to the economy. And I think that the NDC should take this into they should take it in their strides, and as they get the feedback, cost essentially whatever sector they want to see this 24-hour economy play out, cost the additional value to the economy. Not long ago, who was it? Was it in 2008? It was Danlati, good old Danlati, may so rest in perfect peace, who was the only candidate at the time to actually have estimated the value addition to the economy by the promises that he made. If I recall, he suggested that he mobilize internal resources to the tune of $840 billion US, up from at the time, our current GDP was about 7 billion. And what it meant essentially was that on a comparative basis, Ghana's GDP during his potential tenure of government would have been 2 trillion. And at that time, in 2008, it would have made Ghana the 5th wealthiest economy in the world, even after the UK and France, right? So there you have it. We want to see promises made, but it's also want to see some sort of quantification, and it's fairly easy to do that. So we want to see those real numbers or near numbers being addressed. My other worry really is that when I hear the other side suggest that, this is probably it's already happening, or it's going to be difficult because we've done A, B, C, D. Fair. It's a fair argument. It's a fair response. But it's also an admission that the current decadence that we've witnessed in the economy will take much more than a single bullet economic miracles to turn our fortunes around, right? The debt levels are astonishingly high, and we are still attracting debt. Joe Jackson will tell you it's not wise to be selling T-bills because you are getting into another debt trap. Already there's a debt iceberg you need to deal with, and it's not even tall yet, but you are adding potential debt. And the other economic indicators are not really favoring us. The cost of borrowing is in double digits. The inflation is still in double digits. So everything that should encourage a very productive economy to probably grow by leaps and bounds is actually not happening right now, which is what I would think that a suggested policy like the 24-hour economy, which I understand to mean expanding the production frontiers. Basically, that's the way I understand the 24-hour economy. So from what we are doing, we want to multiply productivity in certain key areas. And I think Dennis is right. Dennis needs to tell us exactly what key sectors they want to see this growth happen, and the multiply effect, as well as the value addition to the economy. Because where we are right now, we don't just need slogans. It's fairly easy to bring out slogans. And I think the NDC is I hear them. I see that yes, Dennis is right. They change, not that they are changing, but it's actually
they are providing further details as and when.
Yeah. But they also, as they go on, they also get feedback and they want to polish the policy, which is all fine and dandy. So we need to ensure that we are getting. The NDC must tell us: are they going to look for cheap credits from other parts of the world? And it's viable. You can do that, really. There are places you can get cheap credit from these days if you are a credible, should I say, if you are going to be a credible government, right? They must look for a lot of cheap credits if they can, in order to invest in this economy right now. Because if you want to use the current scenario, the situation we have right now, there's no way you're going to get any cheap credit from anywhere. It's also a function of skilled labor, and skilled labor here would also mean the kinds of inputs we make into our teaching and what's it called, our education system, which is why I have a problem with the cancellation of the teacher licensure exams as it is right now. Because you see, you need qualitative, skilled labor. We don't want people who can read and write simple English to be teaching our kids, right? And I agree, it's as a result of the rather bad inputs that we currently have in the educational system, which is producing some of those, by the way, right? We need to fix all of those. Then, of course, there's also the issue about work ethic, which I suspect is front and center when it comes to dealing with whatever productivity questions we have right now. So, for me, I think it is important to have these conversations in the way it's going is good. I like to see numbers. Tell me what specific areas of this economy you want to double productivity in, and by how much. Give us an estimation. Nobody is saying, you see, businesses, we've asked some questions before. What is the business plans of these politicians? We know countries are not run necessarily on the basis of business, but to the extent that politicians are for eons use people's money to prosecute loftier projects that do not return value, it is critical right now that we ask questions. What are your business plans? What additional value would this add to the economy by saying you want to move the needle a little bit more? So to do this, you need, under the current circumstance, financing is key. You need cheap money, and the NDC must start thinking if potentially, if they were voted into power, we probably have a plan by now as to how to get there, and obviously build a skilled labor, which also looking at educational system, because it's front and center again, and then of course work ethic. By the way, this dawn, I think around 2 a.m., I was listening to some Twitter Spaces conversation with some of our friends abroad. It was basically for young people abroad. It was interesting, even though it was an NDC mostly led conversation. It was interesting, and I remember one of the guys discussing asked a question. Well, did you know that a few weeks back, the current vice president actually talked about investing in the blue economy, and that his government is going to make sure the blue economy is going to be the front and center, somehow of his administration. And then I asked the question, okay, but how many people heard that? Why are we not discussing that? Messaging is key in an election year. You see how the 24-hour economy has taken the lightning bolts into everybody's mind and it's being discussed. Not that it wasn't there before, it's been there. The blue economy has been there. Of course, the green economy, which we have bastardized and destroyed, by the way, it's also there. But when Bawumia spoke about the blue economy, why is nobody discussing it? Is it because people do not know what the blue economy means? That is optimizing resources of the ocean.
That could be part.
Yeah,
or that idea's time hasn't really come.
No, but the point really, maybe the mischievous point I want to make, which is also very important, and Dennis is taking notes away, is that nobody is going to discuss the blue economy. You see, because quite frankly, it had not been given the particular wavelength that we want. And I thought Bawumia probably missed an opportunity to be discussing optimization of some of these blue economy issues, rather than respond to John Mahama in the way he did by essentially saying that look, you forget about this. This is already happening. And indeed, he did use the word, he's probably not the serious person or whatever it is. So my point is, be on your own message. How do we turn the economy around? And I think that is what the Bawumia camp should be focusing on right now. They shouldn't be distracted. You see, the problem right now is that Bawumia I mean, he's dealing with his sound legacy with Nana Addo, as well as his own legacy of a number of things he said and all of that. Then he also needs to now up the ante by telling us how he's going to turn things around as they are right now. Frankly, I don't envy him at all. But the moment you start poo-pooing this 24-hour economy thing, it looks as if the conversation is moving away from Bawumia, and I think he needs to be careful. Otherwise, I mean, the train is going to leave. But the next thing the NDC comes up with, which sounds like Article 71 holders, we are no longer going to this, what's it called?
No ex-gratia.
No ex-gratia. That's the next thing I see the NDC bringing on board. Hey.
And the people, the masses may be excited about it.
I swear, my brother. And before you realize, Bawumia is playing catch up. And I know Dennis and Co are around who can shepherd the conversation back into focusing on the things that matter. Focus on these things, my brother.
Wow. Very well. Thanks so much, Franklin. Let me speak to Professor Gachi, who is a professor, dean of the School of Business at the University of Cape Coast. Prof, welcome to the program. I know you have considered, maybe generally, the idea about a 24-hour economy. What would be your quick thoughts on that before we delve into the matters themselves?
Well, I think the way economy operates is that from time to time you find innovative way of emphasizing something that will contribute to growth, that will contribute to employment generation, that will contribute to expansion of business, and of course that will finally lead to increasing contribution to revenue generation. So I see the 24-hour economy idea proposed by the former president to be in line with what I've just expressed. And also, I think he indicated that in his 2020 manifesto to the people of Ghana, and he believes that he has not been taken by the current government. The current government has not espoused any policy in that direction. And therefore, the former president find reason to re-emphasize that leading to 2024 election. It is something that is done elsewhere. We know the literature on that in London, Singapore, even in Kenya, other parts of Africa. So we are aware that it is something that we need to emphasize. But no Ghanaian should be thinking that 24-hour economy will mean that we will see that replicated in every corner of the country. If you go to UK, it's not every part of UK that we see a resemblance of 24-hour economy. If you go to US, the same thing. If you go to everywhere, that we see 24-hour. So my thinking is that it will be a targeted approach, city by city, industry, and the sectors by sector. It does not mean that my uncle in the village farming will be practicing 24-hour economy. However, those who are involved in a real commercial agriculture is something that can help them increase productivity. My thinking is that this is supposed to enhance the capacity of the productive sector of the country, thereby increasing productivity. and then perhaps providing ways of ensuring efficiency in the way we handle our productive sector. So for me, that is my thinking about the 24-hour economy.
I see. Quite enlightening. There's a document authored by the IEA Kenya. It calls it the fallacy of the 24-hour economy. Portions of it, let me read a paragraph or so of it. It says that the number of workers and the amount of time is set to ensure that production meets the demand itself. Thus, if demand was to expand, then the same enterprises would hire more workers and extend work time accordingly. That is what is described as a fallacy. And it continues to say that the production is not an end to itself, but undertaken purely to meet a demand that is real. It's a Kenyan document. So for a majority of businesses and workplaces in Kenya, the constraint is the size of the market, and that cannot be expanded by a government declaration of a 24-hour economy. So the question is, must we deal with demand, expand market, before we make a declaration? Or you think the two can work side by side? And in your experience, academia, consultancy, etc., at what point should we start this? Government, maybe an NDC government, January 2025, declares 24-hour economy. What should be the building blocks? What should we be doing first? Create a market, create demand, and do the things, incentivize the industries as you want to do? Or how should we approach this?
Okay. I think policy identifies what gaps are there and attempting to address. So it is clear that the policy proposal has been muted. Now we need to work on the building blocks. For example, you talk about markets. We have two types of markets here. We have, I mentioned, for example, those involving commercial agriculture, for example. And the chain of commercial agriculture has in it processing as an important aspect. So, for example, if you want to, in a quick manner, address the huge consumption of tomatoes, the huge consumption of ginger, the huge consumption of garlic, the huge consumption of rice in the country, the demand is there. So there's no problem. It's the capacity that is not there. So if you can incentivize the 24-hour to provide a capacity in production of this area, the market is already there, so we don't have problem with such a market. Where we don't have a market, even where the market is, we need to also look at how the 24-hour economy will incentivize competitive production. Now, if you look at what happens in the country, I buy brown rice from Avalavi Junction. Now, you look at it critically, you realize that the price differential for imported rice into the country and those produced locally, either the local one has a higher price or they are just at par. So what it means is that if we are going to incentivize production in general and foster a 24-hour economy to build capacity, then we need to not only look at the market, we also look at the competitiveness of production to be able to fit into it. Then if you want to consider the export market, that is where we should be looking at whether the market exists or not. And remember, all these things will fit into what we are calling the after now. And again, that also will need competitive production. So yes, the proposal has been muted. So all these nuances within the operation will have to be considered as we go along. So competitive production is key to the success of this agenda.
I see. Quite interesting. People have said that tax incentives necessarily will not grow the private sector, because we've seen a lot of industries or companies giving tax incentive, but they have not grown, to do what we've asked them to do. The free zones bond, one of my guests mentioned, for example, the free zones enclave, for example, hasn't done what really we want them to do, even though we give them a lot of tax incentives and a lot of conditions that will make them produce for export, for foreign exchange, etc. That really hasn't worked. So what kind of incentives will we be looking at? What kind of incentives? I've heard some arrangement being announced around tariffs or power and all of that. What kind of incentives will you think will help this cause?
Yeah, broadly, we need to incentivize by providing efficient security for some of the cities, some of the sectors that we want to target. Because even though today certain manufacturing entities are doing 24-hour production, especially when they have high demand. But it is not something that is consciously constructed. Therefore, we don't think about the security issues. So that is one area we need to work on. Then again, power is a key in the production process. In fact, if you ask those involved in production, they tell you that their cost structure is taken by 40% of electricity. So that definitely must be worked on for us to become competitive. So power is very, very key. And to change the cost structure of businesses by looking at power, by looking at electricity, is something that is required. These are the things that are making us less competitive in manufacturing. That is why manufacturing seems not to exist. You look at our industry sector, the way we calibrate it, we have included oil and gas in the industry. So as soon as we take oil and gas away, it's as though we don't have in industry sector. So power is key, and we need to work on that.
All right. Very final one, and on a related matter. Parliament is working to, or Trade Minister is working to lay before Parliament an LI to restrict the imports of some 22 products. We're talking about creating market for this 24-hour economy, even though these are two different regimes or political parties proposing the two different things. How do you think one will complement the other? For example, restricting the import of some goods. So rice imports, for example, restricted. That need or demand that will be created there can be, the 24-hour economy can piggyback on that and produce more. Farmers will be working in the night, farm hands, etc., to ensure that we meet local demand. How do you think that LI that is being proposed will help the 24-hour economy, or you think they are not even related at all?
I'm not sure. You see, this is not a conscious effort by those who are sponsoring that deal to promote a 24-hour. And remember, we are dealing with politics here. The moment the government tries to come on board with 24-hour, the credibility of the government goes down, because this is something that somebody has proposed in 2020 manifesto, and the president is still pursuing that. So the moment you come on board that, I have started it already, this one is supposed to increase 24-hour economy. I even learned that because of the requirement of power in ensuring efficient production, we are going to even present a nuclear policy quickly and indicate that the nuclear policy is supposed to enhance 24-hour economy. The moment you do that, you are weakening the credibility of the government and give upper hand to the opposition. So I'm not sure they are related. When you look at the inflation data that is provided by South Africa is from 2022 up to date. That provides a policy signaling to the government. The inflation data shows that you have food inflation driving your inflation. And then from time to time, they mention the drivers of the food inflation. Now, what that does is that policy should be designed to address that. Now, one of the areas of addressing is to limit imports. That is what this bill seeks to do. But you don't limit imports abruptly in an economy that is import-driven. What incentives are provided to rice producers to make them competitive in the process? I have not heard of that. So it's not just about limiting imports, it's about what you are working to reflect on the productive capacity of your production process. And that we have not seen.
Very well. Very well. Thanks so much. Okay,
and people are of the view that this will make importers beggars to the policy implementers, and that may lead to, underhand dealing and corruption.
Very well.
Because we have not put all the things that will make the policy work in place.
All right. Thanks so much, Prof. Grateful as always, and thanks for your insight on this. Professor John Gachi is the Dean of the Business School at the University of Cape Coast, and he joined us for his thoughts on this 24-hour economy, and also we tried to bring in a matter of the LI. Of course, the two are different, but could it be an unintended consequence? I mean, you restrict this, and so there's demand, and the 24-hour economy works on, etc. That's how we're trying to look at this. All right, so back in the studio, let me just take a few, just two messages, then just to acknowledge persons who are sending messages. So this one with no name. I'm currently at Community 22 ECG office because I have a problem with my meter. I had a problem with my meter last night, but to be told they don't work on weekends. So isn't it prudent for an institution like ECG to work in 24 hours? Well, some people there work 24 hours, some department work 24 hours. But clearly, your problem means that the 24-hour economy discussions should really be held. Asanko in Santa Maria said the NDC should never make a mistake by giving details of its 24-hour economy to the MPP, because if they do, the MPP, the masters of plagiarism, will plagiarize it and take credit for it, as they usually do, you say. Jones Aduboy says, good morning, Salom. I'm surprised at the Vice President trivializing an idea that is a game changer when all the promises and his numerous economic lectures could only land Ghanaians in a haircut, pensioners line up for their investments, high inflation, and an all-time high unemployment. The Vice President has lost every credibility to criticize anyone. Yes, we say. So that's Jones. Doc, I come back to you. We talk about incentives, incentivizing industry. There are some pharmacy shops, for example, I know run 24 hours. Some businesses run 24 hours. How is this incentive regime going to be targeted? Are you going to say, okay, 1, 2, 3, you guys, you are big. We know you have capacity to expand. So come for these incentives and do this. What happens to the guys already doing it? Are we going to encourage them? Or the incentives will cut across, so security, night lightning, etc., so that people deal with matters. I want to understand how the incentives will be targeted to ensure that we have maximum returns on our investment.
Salam, thank you. You see, we just made a broad political outline of a manifesto we are going to implement. And everybody, especially the MPP, is at helter-skelter. How do you do it? You should do it this way. It's already on. It is not important. John Mahama hasn't done the right thing. What are the details? We haven't even brought the details out. And they are running away. They are crying everywhere. And I heard
John Mahama doesn't understand it.
Pardon?
He said that John Mahama doesn't understand it.
I have my idea. I'm bringing it to board.
By extension, it means all of you following him also understand it.
It is funny and it is ridiculous what the MPP is doing. I listened to him. He's even questioning, how are you going to do it? We already have it. Bawumia said it is not a good policy. It can be legislated. What does it mean? You have a lot of things to legislate. You haven't legislated them. You have talked about the president talked about 350 secondary schools you build within a term. Has he done it?
Add boarding
talk about those.
To the
add boarding facilities. He talked about one village, one dam, which we all are looking out for, still not happening. We talk about $1 million for each constituency. You have not done it. We talk about one district, one factory, which is done in a very skewed and incomprehensive manner. You talk about one child, one egg. All those funny ideas you threw about.
Was there one on chocolate? One child, one chocolate.
And the egg too. They said they'll give an egg to every child, every chocolate, and those funny things. And he said, NDC is just throwing things about. They threw things about. We are not.
NDC is learning from them.
We are not throwing anything else about. When we project our ideas, we implement it. We have not come out with the full implication of the 24-hour economy. And I'm happy this fellow is saying, don't give it to them. Once you give it to them, they change it into a funny thing. And we are saying, look, the economic policy orientation we are going to do is going to ignite a 24-hour economy. Remember, I just told you, we are going to strengthen the economy. At the moment, the economy is riddled with corruption, inefficiency, a very, very family-tied kind of economy. We can't tolerate that. We will ignite it and give it breath. Once you do that, you will need to work more.
Yeah, so you see, when you say you ignite it, the next question then is, how will you ignite it? Because
I'm saying that we have not come out with our policy.
Yeah, but you just
the truth is that I've told you that there is an economy that is highly corrupted. We are not going to tolerate that corruption.
So you deal with corruption?
We will deal with it. We will deal with the issue of indiscriminate fiscal policy initiative, where you spend so much to the extent that, you borrow so much to the extent that you don't have a fiscal space. We'll deal with it. We'll ensure that there is an empowered private sector that will create more jobs. So much we are going to work on. They are all going to come out in our manifesto. Once you put these things in place, it will warrant an increased investment. It will warrant an increased labor requirement. It will warrant a 24-hour economy. It will make sure that Ghanaians are sitting up and working. I'm surprised that people are asking, NDC cannot just make it. We haven't come out with the policy. We haven't come out with the details. And this is not something to legislate about. It is something that what is going to be legislated about is a real working of the economy.
Yeah, you see, but the policy itself is not out, which is fair to come out in the manifesto. But once you speak about it, we will ask questions. So it's like saying,
no, we are not against the asking of questions.
So when we ask the question, then you say the policy itself is not out. When are we? Because we have questions. We need the curiosity, dealt with or satisfied.
We have explained it on and on. I don't know what else anybody wants us to explain. What do they want? He said nothing in what I said had to do with the questions we are asking. Ask the question. What do you want to know about that?
So you want to know about the incentives, for example. So if you say tax incentive, how will you do that? Will you identify specific organizations or industry or companies and give them the incentive? Or you create an environment, they will come for it, and you monitor them to ensure they are doing this. Because people have gone for 1D.
Is that the question they said I didn't answer? Then I'll answer it, and you'll be satisfied that they.
Maybe as you answer it, more questions will come.
Yes, so that's the problem. But let me just tackle it. You see, the 24-hour economy will happen from because of initiatives that we are going to put in place to support companies that want to stay on. First of all, a key incentive is to assure them of their security. You can't go out there and thieves can come and disturb you. We'll make sure they are properly secured. The second is that if they want to create more opportunities for people to work, what is the problem that they will encounter in getting that done? So it will be dictated by the circumstances of the time. We will get involved in that. We are not going to foresee and say that, if you want to employ 3 people, I'm going to do this to you. No, we will get to know when the time happens. That when we tell you, or if you decide that, look, government, I think that I want 20 more people, but this is what I'm facing. The incentive will come out from there. We will make sure it works. And let me also tell you that 24 hours is not an imposition from government, it will be an imposition on business, on economic demands, on labor demands, on business initiatives that are going to be implemented because of the need to employ more people, to create more opportunity, to produce more. Right now, let me tell you, it's very sad, the situation we are facing. Industry has been declining all these years. Manufacturing has been declining all these years. Construction is declining all these years. And even waste management is declining. The situation is such a critical area of our focus that we don't have to just overlook it. This is a government that has come and promised heavens on earth. And today, everything is in a backward stream. So we are responding to the challenges of the time. And 24-hour economy is a non-negotiable area. We want to encourage all Ghanaians to go in. But the question always is, how do we get 24-hour economy on if people don't have money to spend? And we say, when you create more jobs, people will have money to spend. And the question is, what about the purchases of the items that people are not purchasing? If people have money, they will purchase. You see, it's a very simple economic analysis, basic economic analysis. The consumption happens because people have money to spend. And once you consume, production eventually takes place. So that's how the economy runs. You keep it running so that eventually you don't have situations where there are gaps. So for us, several other things are going to happen, not just 24-hour economy. It's just the
24-hour economy is an end game.
It's an end game. It's just a fundamental outcome of the things we are going to do. It's not like he said we have a policy as if that is the only policy we are going to do. No. We have a lot of things to do. So the 24-hour
economy will be the outcome, will be the result of everything that you do.
Yeah, it's going to be a resultant effect about all the investment we are going to do, all the initiatives we are going to do. But definitely, once we come into office, it's operates. Because we are not going to wait to do things before it operates. No. Because things are happening, and they have also said, no, it's already happening. Yes. So we will incentivize several other people to join in. So it's not going to be like it should wait. Then the economic starts, and then no. It's going to start as soon as we start injecting into our efforts into restoring this economy and keeping it going.
Very well.
It is a very sad situation we are facing today, that we have an economy projected by people who said they are going to make it better, and we are going to have a retrogression in all the 8 years or 7 years now that they have been in office. And the retrogression is not stopping.
I see. All right, so that's Dr. Pelpo of the NDC responding to some of the issues raised. I'll take a short break. When I come back, I'll hear my other panelists, and the AGI will be on after that, and we'll look at all of that. This is the big issue. Don't go away.
From across the nations of the world, we gather for prayer, for praise, for the word, for dominion. We gather for impact.
The corruption of your altar is the corruption of your priesthood, and the corruption of your priesthood is the limitation of your power. As soon as you see a corruption, you take it by the head and you crush it by the blood.
And any conspiracy by charms or hexes, spells or enchantments, I decree and declare those altars are scattered right now.
You only overcome evil by good, and there's only one good, and it's not you and it's not me. It's God.
Doors that have been blocked are about ready to open. Where something was working against you is about to work for you.
Impact 2023 at Action Chapel International. Sunday, November 26th to Sunday, December 3rd. Mornings and evenings. For more information or inquiries, call or send a WhatsApp message to the number on your screen. Impact 2023. Hosted by His Eminence Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams.
This is what you've been waiting for. It's an experience you cannot miss. Be there.
Impact 2023. Open doors.
Are you ready to party? We're lighting up the city on the 24th of December 2023 with the biggest all-white outdoor party, Situation 2023. It's time to unwind as the year draws to a close with a mix of delicious cocktails, good food, and the best DJs to give you back-to-back hits to keep you on your feet amidst some incredible performances by the Chin Chin Band and not your regular DJ Mingo. The dynamic duo Keche, the crooner Aquabua, the rap doctor Ochiami Kwame, and the spirit-filled Perez Music. Get ready to let it all down and party your stresses away on Christmas Eve at the Situation All White Outdoor Party. Date 24th December 2023. Venue La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. Time 8 p.m. Dress code, it's an all-white affair. Call 0205 973 973 or 0558 973 973 for your table bookings and seats. Make reservations now and come have an unrivaled experience with the most extraordinary party to end all parties this Christmas Eve. The Situation All White Outdoor Party 2023 is powered by Citi TV with support from Citi FM.
All right, welcome back to the big issue. We are looking at the 24-hour economy and all of that. We're speaking to Dr. Rashid Pope of the NDC, Dennis Miracle Sabuaji of the MPP, Joe Jackson, who is a private sector player, an economist and the Director of Operations at Delex Finance. We're discussing the matter of the 24-hour economy. One other sector that will be impacted by this 24-hour economy, if it should work, will be industry. Industry has not been doing well in the past, etc. A few things have been said by way of making sure things get better. I'm not sure how this 24-hour economy is being received by people in industry. Let me speak quickly to Kwesi Nyameche, Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industry, to pick his thoughts on this proposition by the NDC to implement a 24-hour economy. Hello, good morning, sir. Welcome to the big issue. I don't know where you stand on this discussion or debate about having a 24-hour economy. How does industry plug into this? I mean, what does industry need to be able to do this?
Good morning. I hope you can hear me, sir.
Very clearly.
Thank you. It's a very brilliant proposition from the flag bearer of NDC. Industry will be grateful if it could be implemented. Like you said, industry has been dwindling. I mean, growth in industry has been dwindling over the period, and 24-hour will mean a very good, incentive for industry. But however, certain things would need to be looked at. Some could do even without any intervention if there's demand and consumption. I think it will be premised on consumption and demand of local produce. If we have markets for our produce, of course, we wouldn't mind doing 24 hours or hiring more labor. but it will be premised on demand and consumption of local produce. 1. 2, with the inception of Africa Continental Free Trade, for example, market is being enhanced. It's being increased. However, if you want to do business even across the African continent, we have different time zones. This brings into bear technology. E-commerce. So those, telecom and communication and stuff will have to be also enhanced. So we could get maybe market from across the African continent and across the globe. So all those things will have to be checked and make sure we have all those things in place so businesses can thrive. Otherwise, we can say 24 hours, but no production will go on because we don't have demand. 2, security is also very critical. Previously, our filling stations were running 24 hours, but due to insecurity, they are running up to 10 p.m. So security will have to be enhanced, lightening of our roads and highways will have to be also checked so people could work. You can't call people to come to work and they are attacked on the way. So those things will have to be looked at.
I see. In terms of the specifics, so security is great. In terms of the specifics, things to make you, for example, as an employer or as an owner of a factory or a company, run 24 hours, what would those things be? What will you need to run 24 hours? I know some of your colleagues maybe yourself, you may be running shifts day and night. That is a semblance of the 24-hour economy you're creating in your company. What will you need or more of your colleagues need to do more of that? You've mentioned security and you're mentioning lightning, etc. What incentives will be useful for you to fully sign up to this if government opened it up?
I would say, if I take myself, for example, it will purely be based on demand. Market for my produce. If I have market and there's demand for the goods that we produce, nobody will even incentivize you. You will be incentivized yourself, by producing because you have demand for the produce and you have market for it. So once we could create market for the goods that we produce in Ghana, for example, because sometimes it's very, very disheartening if you look at even government being the biggest spender, not even buying made in Ghana produce, but importing. So if we could have market for our produce locally, we wouldn't need government to say do 24 hours or do more hours or add more labor. We will do it.
I see. Want to thank you for your time. But let me pick your thoughts on this LI matter that is generating some discussion in Parliament. Something that, even though they might not be related, there's a way one would affect the other, even though that may not be an intended consequence of the policy. The proposal to restrict the importation of some produce or some products. How does AGI see this? And do you think that demand, which may be created as a result of the restriction, will work to help the 24-hour economy we are talking about today?
Thank you. AGI has always been advocating for a policy to boost local production. We have not, come out to say a wholesale, ban on importation, because there are certain areas we don't even produce locally, and there are certain products that we don't have the capacity to do it locally. All we're looking for is government to, give some quota when it comes to importation on certain things, and then government should look at the productive capacity of local industries, and where we have the capacity, there shouldn't be a competition from outside. That's what we look at.
Very well. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Kwesi Nyamiche, Ashanti Region Chairman for the AGI. Thanks so much for speaking to us on this. All right, guys, let me come to Dennis. I know you may have a few things to respond to.
Well, I don't have too many, actually.
All right, so let me hear what your responses will. Let me hear you.
Salom, in all fairness, I think that the NDC need to do us some good. And if they believe that they are not ready with the fine details of how they are going to enhance a 24-hour economy in Ghana, then we should just let that matter rest until they are ready. We are going to be taking decisions on leadership for the future of this country.
That's several months away.
And it's important that if you want to convince us to give that leadership mandate to you, then you should come clean and you should be ready. I have said from the get-go that the guys are not ready. They didn't think through the process. They simply came to announce and they were hoping to go back and then start running around it. So you see them with T-shirts printed and all of that. And that was the idea. They didn't expect that they were going to be confronted with such
But to be fair, this was proposed in 2020.
Yeah.
So you think they were not ready even as of 2020? So if it's there,
then it should be easy. So they should pull that document and just...
No, but it was in the 2020 manifesto. So things have changed.
So shouldn't it be easy then? So
but to say they were not prepared...
What is it that... What is in it?
How come when it gets to my turn?
So you said they've not explained it enough.
You don't know.
But I'm sure he will deal with that.
But the point is that we are not the ones who are making the declaration.
So what do you want?
You are making the declaration, not what we want. We are telling you that a 24-hour... And if you listen to all the listeners, listen to the AGI, it's clear. He's telling you that even if you give him all the incentives in the world, and he has no reason to open at midnight.
So that's what the NDC said in the 2020 manifesto. I'll come back to you. It said, given Ghana's small market size of about only 31 million and per capita income of $2,200, there will be an aggressive promotion of exports, which will lead to a demand in labor to meet increased production for both domestic consumption and exports. To accommodate this anticipated demand for Ghanaian goods and services, the next NDC government will create a 3-shift economy, especially in manufacturing and other high-end services that operates 24 hours non-stop. The additional 2 shifts will be a source of additional employment. Companies that currently operate 24 hours with only 2 shifts of 12 hours each in violation of the labor law, which specifies a maximum of 8 hours, will be required to run 3 shifts and thus create a third stream of jobs. So is
that what it is? No. So is that what it is?
But this is more or less what they are saying.
I'm very happy. I like the effort in trying to. Is that what it is? He has this. The president, former president, has it. All the speakers, they have it. Is that what it is? They should bring it up. Then we interrogate it. Is that what it is? You see.
Well, this is what we have seen.
Yeah, but you see, our case is very simple. When I am a businessman, Deluxe Financial Services, and I close at 5 p.m. and I still have people queuing, and I feel that it's profitable, you won't tell me to open till 8 p.m. I will. But if you even make the electricity free, and I still don't think that if I open at 7 p.m. it is profitable, I will not open. So you can give me all the incentives you want to give me. It all boils down to whether there is a demand for what it is that I am producing. It doesn't matter what you give me. That is the point we made. Secondly, we have also said that the 24-hour economy is already playing out. So your declaration should be that you want to enhance it. If you want to enhance it, then you're not just going to come and declare and run and go and hide. You're coming to tell us what is currently happening that is making it play out, which is not making all of them, like making us reach our optimum, that you are now going to bring to let us get to that optimum point. You have to respond to that. Now, if we continue to ask you these questions, and you don't answer them, but you simply tell us that, well, I haven't brought my policy document out yet, you relax. When the policy document comes, we'll deal with it. Then we are wasting our time right now this morning discussing it. Because really, what are we talking about? We are talking about a declaration that the proponents are saying that they are yet to bring us the policy, and so we should wait for it. Why don't we all just put this matter in the cupboard and wait for when their document is ready? Then we'll all come and discuss. I have no problem at all with the NDC coming out with the policy. It's a very good thing because, hey, this is the first time really that we are going into an election and the NDC are really bringing the policies for discussion. Typically, they don't do that. And so if we are doing that, it is good. But if they are not ready with the information for the debate, then we are not debating.
But this assertion, is it actually accurate? I mean, they've always come with policy propositions,
well,
whether they will work or not.
See, let me tell you, in the last election, the leading one was Big Push, which until date, nobody understands what it was. You remember? It was Big Push, so they just go, Big Push.
They said it was $10 billion for infrastructure.
Yes, that's what they said. Big Push. That's all. They never tell you anything. So and then the confusion. And then the confusion. The interpretation of a single declaration by the same people in different ways. Today you have read this. Tomorrow you hear some of them say passport, it will run. Judicial service will run. You hear them say DVLA will run. You hear some of them say that we are going to make electricity this. We'll give them tax breaks. So there's so much confusion. There is so much confusion around one single policy by the same group.
But is it not the same for you guys as well? Because in your response to it as well, some of you guys have said that it's already happening.
Yeah, but it's happening.
Others have said that, it doesn't make sense.
Who said?
Your boss himself.
Because it is contextualized.
No, but
it is contextualized.
No, I wasn't at the rally.
He has never said the idea doesn't make sense.
No, I wasn't. He said it's already happening.
No, what he said was
doesn't make sense.
What he said was that something that is already running out, if you claim that you are going to bring it, it makes no sense. It's no idea. It's a bad idea. That is what he has said.
Something already happened.
It is already happening.
And you are saying it's a bad idea.
It is already happening. So if that is the...
How about your friends? Not Bawumia, may not be you,
friends?
but a lot of your colleagues on other platforms. That is a bad idea.
I haven't heard one. Quote one. Show me one. There is no single MPP person that has said anywhere that is a bad idea. Not even.
In fact, to even say
nobody has said that.
To even say that doesn't make sense means it's a bad idea.
You are going back to the same falsehood. I am telling you that the vice president never said the 24-hour economy doesn't make sense.
No, we can play the voice. He actually said that.
He said that the idea.
So I mean,
it's not a good idea.
Let's pull back this 1 minute voice. Let's pull out this 1 minute voice. Today, I'm in for that. I have a lot of time for that. Yeah, so no, he's playing the relevant portion of it. We can't play the whole 1 hour rally. Yeah. So it's in context. He said, he's coming again. Now I've heard he has an idea. So Jude, let's play this. Sakite.
John Mahama says he has a new idea. And what is the new idea? He says he wants a 24-hour economy. 24-hour economy. He doesn't even understand that policy. Today in Ghana, our hospitals work 24 hours. Our electricity company works 24 hours. Our water company works 24 hours. Our phone companies work 24 hours. Miniature bars work 24 hours. Isn't it? Today, because of digitalization, the banks, you can transfer money 24 hours. You can receive money 24 hours. Isn't it? So he doesn't understand his own policy. It does not make sense. And I want you to vote in 2024, but I will bring a new vision. I will bring new policy. And we will transform this country.
All right, so that's Bawumia.
He didn't even say the one that he said is a bad idea.
Yeah, that's Dr. Bawumia speaking on his talk.
If somebody speaks,
and I think the context has been set.
Exactly.
He said it right from the beginning.
He said that he doesn't understand his own idea. That it doesn't make sense
Somebody's
because he has already given you all the things around 24-hour economy that is already operating. So your idea of 24-hour economy that you are bringing, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yes, because it's already playing out.
No, the fact that it's already playing out in a few sectors doesn't mean it doesn't make sense.
You don't understand your idea.
How can I not understand?
But do you understand the idea they brought?
No, but it's not for me to say. I have some understanding of it.
Have you gotten the answers?
I have some answers.
You see,
I may have more answers.
At the moment, the same idea.
It's the same way I still do not understand the free
They have not brought.
I still do not understand the free SHS in its entirety. I still do not understand the reforms happening in the education sector. Okay.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, so go ahead.
Anybody that interprets the vice president's point of it doesn't make sense to mean that he said 24-hour economy doesn't make sense is a hypocrite and is being disingenuous. This is a man that has told you that the idea is already playing out and giving you all instances of 24-hour economy playing out and comes to tell you that now you come back and tell me that in spite of all of these things already playing out, you will introduce a 24-hour economy. You do not understand what 24-hour economy means. It doesn't make sense. And you are telling me that your interpretation of it doesn't make sense is that he said 24-hour economy doesn't make sense. What are you talking about? When he himself had gone on to give you instances of 24-hour economy, what kind of hypocrisy is that?
Selon, can you
it's all about the headlines. It's all about the headline. It's all about. Oh no, I beg you. Sorry. You see, when we begin reading news and we read the headlines and the news and we do not go and listen to these issues in context, this is what will always happen. Anybody, and I'll put it on record, anybody that interprets what the vice president said to mean that he meant 24-hour economy idea is a bad idea, is being disingenuous, is being hypocritical, and is only trying to be mischievous. That is not what he meant. He acknowledged 24-hour economy and gave a strict interpretation of what he believes 24-hour economy is, and gave instances of what the 24-hour economy that is already playing out. He only meant that you come back and tell us that in spite of all of these things, you are bringing a 24-hour economy. What is the 24-hour economy you are bringing? It doesn't make sense. And your interpretation is that a 24-hour economy doesn't make sense.
Or maybe he
That
doesn't
is not
understand
true.
it.
That is not true.
Himself.
That is not what the vice president.
Bawumia himself.
Whatever it is, the vice president never said.
Understanding
For the record, the vice president never said anywhere, including the video you have.
But that's the record we have seen.
No, he never said. He never said that 24-hour economy is a bad idea. He said the vice president doesn't understand the idea. The former president doesn't understand the idea of 24-hour economy, and what he's saying doesn't make sense. That is what he said.
I see.
We have all listened and we are understanding.
Of course. So the viewers, the viewers are
exactly. Let me wrap up. So when you bring such a policy, and it's a vote-seeking policy, and you tell us that first you try to create the impression, and they've shifted severally, all the videos are there, they've been trying to answer all our questions to shape up their policy. They should calm down. When we say let's have issue-based campaign, you need to think through before you come. They should go back, take their time, think through the whole policy. They are even fortunate. We've thrown in a lot of questions for them. Use it to beef it up. Come back for us to discuss it. And then we can be making progress. Like I told you, 24-hour economy plays out all over the world. Every country has one at different scales. In Ghana, we have our own 24-hour economy playing out. Industries operate at 24 hours, transport operates at 24 hours, hospitality operates at 24 hours, security, health, transport, all of them, they are doing 24 hours. Public sector institutions who have critical services to play out throughout the night operate 24 hours. So if you want to introduce or enhance 24, don't tell us you will come and create a 24-hour economy. It's English. You are not coming to create a 24-hour economy. You can at best say you want to enhance the 24-hour economy, because 24-hour economy is not a policy by itself. And all the speakers, from Professor Gachi to Mr. Jackson to Honorable Purple to all the people who have spoken, Franklin and Co, clearly points to the fact that it is only an outcome. It is an output of certain deliberate activities, which are the deliberate activities that all governments will speak about. Some governments in their manifesto will say, when I come, I'll give tax breaks of this and this and that. Some governments will say, when I come, I want to ensure that districts will have factories so that commerce would be boosted at a district level. Some governments will come and say that I'll make electricity tariffs at this rate for industries. These are all things that, if it succeeds, could lead to a 24-hour economy. So don't hide that detail. Because when you pick the manifestos of all political parties, what you will see in there are activities and actions that eventually, if it succeeds, would translate, could. And when it comes to 24-hour economy, Salom, it is always a matter of could. Because you see, even the issue of productivity, if there is a demand, and I can meet all the demand between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., you can't force me to still operate 24 hours.
Nobody's forcing.
You understand what I'm saying? So, if you can give me incentives, you can give me free electricity, taxes, everything you want to give me, and in order for me to meet demand for rice and sugar, like Professor Gachi said, but the fact that I am meeting the demand for rice and sugar doesn't mean I will meet it by running a 24-hour. I could meet that same demand by operating from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. That is why when you go to the Coca-Cola Spintex area, the industrial area, some factories today, in spite of all the incentives that they haven't brought yet, in spite of all the challenges we have, still operate 24 hours and others don't. It means that those who are operating 24 hours, they have the core reason to operate 24 hours to be able to meet whatever demand that is available. And those who are not operating 24 hours do not have that need. So you should be careful when you want to declare some of these things into existence, like we are in Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 1, when God was creating the world. Let there be light, and there was light. Let there be sun, and there was sun. Let the seas separate and split by whatever there is. That is not how you build a country. That is political tricksters working at play. That is trying to be politically fraudulent. That is you trying to hide the details so that nobody questions you in order for you to have your way and get a vote. We would come and tell the people how we want to turn around the economy with specific initiatives. If those initiatives work, they could translate into 24-hour economy. Tell us the specific activities, the specific strategies that you intend to introduce. Please hold on.
The issue people have had is only criticized. I mean, your side is only criticized without any alternative to this 24-hour economy.
What do you intend to introduce to turn around that economy? Those are the things that we can interrogate to determine whether
and they said
you are
worthy
of our votes or not. That's why I'm saying that today, this morning, this is the last time I'm discussing this so-called voluntary policy. That would be a game changer. A voluntary policy that would be a game changer. This is the last time, and the reason is because he has confirmed that indeed they do not have a policy document completely put together to respond.
I'm not sure he said that.
So what does he say?
He said there's a document, or they are working on it.
Okay, exactly.
But
your work is very difficult this morning. They are working on it.
There's a manifesto. To say there is no
But you are telling me that they are working on it.
But it doesn't mean there's no document.
But is there? Something you're working on
I do not know.
So there's a draft.
I do not know.
So then why are you speaking for
but what I'm saying is, he's on the program.
But when you're working on something,
if you put word in your words,
what is working?
If you put words in your mouth which you haven't said,
I have a duty to come to. But in your interpretation, you've even done him more damage.
That's what
you are saying that they said they are working on it. Work in progress.
But yeah,
but something you are working on is available.
No, of course, but if you are working on
something, is available.
If you are working on something, you have something.
So make it available.
Yeah, so that should be the question to them.
Salom, you see, this whole effort.
Let me just respond. You have said something about me.
I haven't.
You've just mentioned me.
No worry.
But you mentioned me when you were speaking. Said Dennis.
I mean,
you want to take my time.
No, you are taking your own time, but you've actually exceeded your time.
I am saying that. Thank you for your benevolence. Thank you for your benevolence.
Now you're thanking me.
The point is that. For me, I don't think we should be wasting any more time on the NDC.
Okay.
The reason why people, and I'm not the only one asking these questions, so I tell you, a lot of people are asking their questions. Go and check even under your thread. You see people saying, no. You know why? Because we have trust issues. He went on in trying to, when you asked him to tell us what they would do, he still didn't go. He went on to tell us the things we said we would do and we haven't done. It doesn't matter.
No,
you are asking
from your own pronouncement.
But you
said
your government and former President Jomama, the things that you promised and we gave power to you and you led us into gloom.
We did
and
them.
oblivious.
We did
you did a one-time health insurance. You did a one-time health insurance.
Is that the one thing you are? Is that the one thing you have a number of them, more than 20 of them?
Dennis, you've been speaking for a while.
After today,
you've been speaking for. After today, you Dennis will not. No, but if the matter comes up, we'll discuss it.
If I see it on your program like
that, I'll
call you out.
That's
because the guys who are breaking the thing have told you on your show.
No, but if the matter comes up, it could be Bawumia going to talk about it. It could be Bawumia going to talk about it.
You are wasting the time of
Ghanaians. If Bawumia talks about it, you should discuss it.
You are wasting the time of Ghanaians about a policy that the document is already.
No, if Bawumia talks about it, I'll discuss it. And I'll call you to come and respond to it.
I will call you out.
All right, Joe. So, I mean, this politics, I mean, it's been going back and forth. But you're an industry person. What do you need to make Dennis? Can Dennis Finance actually run 24 hours? The financial sector, I'm not sure a lot has been said about that. What does Dennis Finance, or what will Dennis Finance need to run 24 hours? If not Dennis Finance, other organizations or sectors of the economy that should run 24 hours. What should they be looking out for?
Well, the truth of the matter is that Delex Finance doesn't run
24 hours.
No, it doesn't. Okay. It doesn't run 8 to 5.
Okay.
It runs much longer than 8 to 5. We start operations as early as 7 a.m. And we don't close transactions. Those that demand intervention, we don't close transactions till 8 p.m. Right? And we do that. That allows us to create employment. What we've done to make it work for us is to run it a digital system that allows you to work from home. So you don't even have to be physically present in the office whilst you are undertaking the transactions. It does work for us. Definitely, one of the things that will definitely help us is an extension of some of the digital initiatives that are taking place. And it's interesting when we talk about that it's already running. Digital initiatives are running, but we're talking about extending digital initiatives. The blue economy is running, but we are talking about extending the blue economy. So just the fact that some institutions run 20, it's neither here nor there. There is a demand for Delex Finance transactions, and we've made it one of our unique selling points that we run. The people who use our products will get instant loans any time of the day. The car hailing drivers, they get instant loans any time of the day. So it is important. If you ask me, it is, if you were Delex Finance, I'll talk about the reduction of interest rates. I sound like a broken record on that score. But I want to actually move on from this 24-hour economy and talk about the LI. My last comment will be that it is interesting that it's the NDC that's setting the agenda. For better or for worse, it's the NDC that's setting the agenda.
But in election years, in difficult election years, maybe the adjective difficult. In difficult election years, the opposition has always set the agenda. In 2016, we saw the MPP set the agenda. Free SHS and a few other things.
Yes. But
in 2000,
and we saw what happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, in difficult election years.
And we saw what happened when you allow your opponent to set the agenda. Right? So if you're following that argument, then the MPP is in trouble. Right? So
you just elected their flag bearer. They're now focusing.
The point is that, the point is that it's interesting that at this moment it's the NDC that's setting the agenda. But let's move on. The problem I have with the LI is that LI can only make sense if we have a definite program to expand production of those
sectors or areas.
And say it's a progressive thing. So we are going to do this. This is how we're going to meet demand. Maybe this is what we'll do in year 1, year 2 to year 5. And in the process, we're going to incentivize the sectors to move production local. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're going to an import licensing regime. Forgive me. An import licensing regime just tells me that it is just an avenue for patronage. All of a sudden, by somebody's signature, he can give you a license that will enable you import rice or whatever, and when you import it, you make a lot of money. The LI as it is now, without clear-cut issues on how we're going to move, I think it's a horrible idea.
But look at something like the mineral water. I was scandalized to realize that we import mineral water. We have a lot of capacity in Ghana to do that.
Time out. Have you gone to your average supermarket to find out the price differential between regular water and mineral water? That ban won't make a difference. Regular water is what? For a small bottle like this, it's barely 2 cedis. Have you tried the size of the bottle and this? It will jump from 2 cedis to about 15 cedis. The issue for banning mineral water, forgive me, doesn't change anything. Water is one of the things that's very hard to transport across geography because it's heavy. And there are already huge taxes on it. Why are you banning if the people who have money, who want to buy one bottle of water for 15 cedis, want to pay? I say, hooray, let them fill our tax coffers. Do you think that banning mineral, do you think that the challenge for pure water is that bottle of mineral water that is sitting in that supermarket? No. So those are red herrings. You want to ban poultry? Fine, makes sense. We've been calling for a ban on poultry. But then show me how you are going to incentivize our farmers to produce locally. Otherwise, all you're doing is writing somebody a huge fat check by just giving an import license. Listen, I've lived in this country before, in an import licensing regime during the Achampon era. It was a terrible thing. I don't want to go back there. I don't think you've seen an import licensing regime before.
I've not.
Now, what I tell you what in the worst case will happen. I will go and get an import license regime. I'll go and get the license signed because I know the powers that be. I won't even bother to do anything. I'll bring it to you and say, hey, take it. Give me 20% of it before you can go and import. You know who gets hurt in that process? The common man. Because all of a sudden you want to buy chicken for the local production is not there. There's nothing to incentivize the local production. The foreign production is coming, but the price has gone up. If you don't show me how you're going to get from point A to point B, I beg you leave me where I am.
I see.
Don't make my life more difficult. Already, the price of chicken has gone up how many times? A year and a half ago, what was the price of a carton of chicken? Today, what is the price? A year and a half ago, the price of a carton of chicken was 130 cedis a box. Today, that same box is selling for 350 cedis. And then you want to now come and put an import licensing regime without showing me how you're going to replace that production. You're going to make the man in the street suffer. Forgive me. For me, it's like, what are you guys doing? Isn't this just an avenue for corruption? Isn't this an avenue for making life already harder than it is? Show me how I want to see the Association of Poultry Farmers come and tell us that we understand and we are clear. We know how we're going to make up the shortfalls of production, and we know how we're going to make sure the price doesn't go up. Otherwise, all we're doing is making life harder for everybody.
I see. Hello, Franklin. My idea about discussing the LI and marrying it with the 24-hour economy was to think that the restrictions could create demand so the 24-hour economy will do better. But it appears Joe Jackson is taking the thing to a different level. I don't know what you think about how I intended to marry it and what Joe Jackson has said in terms of breeding corruption, the licensing regime and all of that, and whether, in your view, it's not long overdue for a country like Ghana to restrict the import of some of these things like Yemadia and all those things.
Well, I'm a libertarian, and so you already would know my answers to those questions. First of all, if you want to, you want to be exporting stuff to other people, but you want to restrict others from what's it called? You want to restrict imports from other places as well. Look, the conversation we are having has to be guided by science and data, which is what Joe Jackson is calling for essentially. What's the data to tell us exactly how this particular policy should be rolled out in the first place? Apart from, of course, creating a very bad underground economy, a corrupt economy, I don't see the essence of this type of what I call the register economics really. I think the policy is just a bankrupt one. And we are saying that even if this obnoxious data deficient import limiting bill is even entertained in Parliament, we at the Imani are calling on everybody to oppose it. So they'll oppose the provision that the minister or some government appointee should be in charge of exemption clearances. That's a recipe for corruption, and it's a return to the 1970s import cheat mafia, which we all know messed up the economy and messed up Ghana, as Joe Jackson is actually telling us. At West, what we think should happen is that the ability to issue exemption clearance certificates should be entrusted to a board of trade made up of people who apply competitively, like the word underlined, competitively, and are appointed in a transparent fashion by the Public Services Commission. But all applications, we think, exemptions and refusals of clearances should be published in the open. I hope this could have been happening in the first place. This is a country where we believe that we are doing procurement, but when you go and look carefully, when you go and look into the procurement contracts, there's a lot more sole sourcing than competitively applied tender processes. So even this that we are suggesting is the lowest of what we expect to happen really. Is the least of what we expect to happen really. This whole thing doesn't make sense. And I've not heard the Minister of Trade or any of the science make a single data supported argument that we want to do A, B, C, D, except they've come up with a shopping list of the things they want to see go. This conversation should not be emotive, you know. It's as if when you say, oh, we want to produce what we eat and all of that. Yeah, we all want to do that. But the how is the question. And if you don't have the data to prove to me that if you ban rice, by the way, locally produced rice are nutritious. And you know that I come from a little bit of Kumasi. We produce red rice, and it's really, really nutritious. I'll eat that rice any day. But I also need to be sure that that rice, if I'm suggesting that rice should be the staple for a larger group of people in Ghana, it must be readily available at a price that is competitive and must be done in such a way that is clean and devoid of stones. You understand? If you're able to compete on that score, then hooray. Otherwise, this whole idea of shutting out import is this old dirigist economies of the 1960s. That's what led most of Latin American countries and African countries into all kinds of economic troubles and all kinds of coup d'etats that occurred eventually. The economics is there. We should do that, and I don't see why we should be going back to this old age. Frankly, I don't think it makes sense. Really.
Well, I think the proponents of this have said that we can't just leave things that way. The country must.
Yeah, but then why don't you fix the other issues? Look, in spite of the import taxes that are placed on some of these products, they're still cheaper than the locally produced ones. Have we asked those questions? Have we got answers for those? Those are the type of data-related conversation I want us to have. Let's not just pander to the women and say, oh, we need to produce what we eat. Yeah, everybody can produce whatever they want to eat. Hong Kong, which happens to be one of the richest countries in the world, doesn't produce everything that they eat, but they are one of the most richest countries in the world, right? So it's not about, in fact, you have to be efficient at consumption, and you probably should care less where these things are coming from, as far as the cost is lower or the least cost to the average consumer. Those are the things that should guide me, and of course, if the product is in good condition as well. Those are the things that matter. We shouldn't really be boxed into this whole conversation about we must produce everything we eat by all means. The world has moved on. People are doing things at far cheaper rates in other parts of the world. This country cannot just be one big industrial zone without any efficiency. That's not the conversation we have. How can you produce at the least cost so that you can compete? That's the conversation you should be having. Not this dull list that is being brought. I don't even know how the list was plucked out of thin air. I don't know when.
I'm sure it was based on data and science.
No, I've not seen that data. And if it is the case that we are saying, oh, because we have spent so much in importing, well, convert all those dollars that you think people would need into clear policies here that people can take advantage of, borrow at lower interest rates, and then fix the roads, fix the lighting, fix all the things that would encourage enterprise to flourish. Then you can begin to ask for some of these things. In fact, it will be natural that if I see that the cost of poultry is cheaper than locally produced poultry is cheaper than the imported one, why not? I'll go for it, because as I maintain, it's probably more nutritious than the imported one. So that's the type of conversation we should be having. Let's not pander to this economic theory. And it's sad that the center-right party, really, the center-right party contemplating some of these old socialist things that do not make sense. Come on.
I see.
Jeez.
I see. That's Franklin Kujo, a libertarian. And his views on these matters are well known.
You see why I'm happy that the Argentine president, the libertarian president, has been voted to power.
I see.
He's going to abolish the Central Bank of Argentina, right? And in 2 years, maybe I should step in the fray, because we need this bold libertarian thought to come and dislodge all these, just economics. You remember, you know the funny thing?
We should abolish the Central Bank of Ghana.
No, if the Bank of Ghana is giving you problems, as we've seen recently, why not abolish it?
We should abolish it.
Other people have been asking for it by the way.
Very well. Let me take a few messages. A few messages. I'll take a break and I speak to security analyst Adib Sani. All right. Hi, Salom. Please ask Dennis on the program to tell us if their party was able to tell Ghanaians details of their free SHS policy prior to the 2016 election. Ghanaians kept asking them about their projections about the cost of the free SHS policy annually and where government was going to raise the fund from. They never gave any detailed answer except to say they were going to use Ghana's revenue from the oil resource to finance their free SHS. These are the same people now asking the NDC to provide details of their proposed 24-hour economy. What double standards? Patrick from East Legon Hills sent that one in. Prince Henry says, please ask Dennis to tell us his boss's alternative economic direction that would create more employment for our teeming youth with no jobs. NAPCO trainees and others are happy with our 24-hour economy. Let me read some other messages. Dennis, stop misbehaving. Dr. Bawumia said 24-hour economy is already in the system. In another breath, he says the idea is bad, so we are supervising a bad idea. The big issue, okay, we should be careful not to fall into the trap of government or the state trying to be in business, against the maxim that the government has no business to be in business. The government should rather create a genuine investment environment for the private sector to operate effectively and efficiently. Kweku in Matayoko Afienya. So yes, the earlier comment was from Salifu in Pusiga. Your messages are still welcome via our WhatsApp lines displayed on the screen. When they come, we'll read them. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll deal with the security aspect of the 24-hour economy. Don't go away. We create too much problems. All right, hi, welcome back to the program. This is a big issue on 97.3 Citi FM on Citi TV, and we are on the socials as well. We've been looking at the idea of the 24-hour economy. We've been looking at the LI and seeing how we can marry the two. But Joe Jackson threw the thing somewhere and he dealt with it in a certain way, so supported by Franklin Kudu, but that's fine. We'll return to the issue of the security. You know, the NDC says they will provide security to facilitate the 24-hour economy. We've said that, you know, in fact, the AGI gentleman, Kwesi Nyamecha, we spoke to, said that he will be happy if the incentives are right. His workers coming to work will not be attacked and all of that. There will be no concern about that. Security plays a major role. Indeed, it's one of the things NDC is saying they will provide to facilitate that economy. Let's speak to a security analyst, Adib Sani, to help us understand what is required or what will be required of the state in terms of security to make this 24-hour economy idea thrive. Adib Sani, welcome to the program. You've been hearing about the 24-hour economy and all of that, the fact that security will be provided in the night to facilitate the economy and all of that. Given the background you have, what do you think we must be considering to make this a success?
Well, first of all, let me congratulate your production team for coming out with such a bright idea for discussion, because I see a lot of people talk about the economics and so on and so forth, but we seem not to prioritize security. In the 70s, the population of Kaswa was below 20% it is today. We were very much focused on developing the area. Unfortunately, there seemed to have been a mismatch somewhere. We concentrated so much on the development and ignored the security aspect. That is why we had to make the area a police region just recently, because we realized that the development was way ahead of the security. Indeed, a 24-hour economy is important. It's been tried and tested in countries such as the Asian tigers, the Netherlands, Australia, etc. But security is extremely important, taking into cognizance the fact that already an economy that is not 24 hours, we're grappling with security issues. The police-civilian ratio is not something that is progressive enough. As we speak, in Ghana, the police-civilian ratio is about 1 officer to about 900 Ghanaians. But the UN standard stipulates for each police officer, we are supposed to have at most 500 citizens. That is even for a day economy. So if we are going to run 24 hours, that would mean maybe doubling the number of police personnel we have, so we wouldn't have them overburdened, or the numbers would not be capable of addressing the security issues this might come with. And you and I know that criminals enjoy operating at night because they are able to operate under the cover of darkness. And you know full well that a lot of places, even in the capital town, are dark. You cannot move freely in the thick of the night because the whole place is dark. So what do we do about that? We have to improve on the lighting, we have to improve on the surveillance, and we have to improve on general security. And one of the ways to achieve that is through awareness, because I see a lot, as a security entrepreneur myself, I do a lot of security training for various professionals. I've done it for the Ministry of Information, I've done it for the Volta River Authority, and so many other institutions. And I see that a lot of Ghanaians seem to be firefighters. We wait until something happens before we put in place strategies. So Ghanaians are generally reactive to matters of security rather than being proactive. So if we are able to get Ghanaians to be aware of their environment, and we have three types of awareness. We have personal awareness, environmental awareness, and situational awareness. Get their buy-in, get them to understand security is a shared responsibility. I think that would also help to a very large extent. And people, when it's about business, people have a lot of monies on themselves. Even during the day at market centers, like it happened a few years ago at Alaba, when robbers stormed the Alaba market in broad daylight on motorbikes. And we had a similar incident at La Paz near Las Palmas about 3 years ago, in which an officer was killed. Royal Motors at industrial area. These were robberies that happened in broad daylight, okay? So you can imagine when it's in the night. What do we do? And I think one of the ways to go around that is to encourage technology and is to enhance business processes electronically, I think, so that people would not hold money on themselves.
I see. That's quite interesting. I was talking about some of the major robberies in this country that have actually happened in the daytime. But I think the way you concluded it was quite okay, because I was going to mention the recent matter of the Ablekuma filling station robbery that led to the death of that young police officer, and the one we saw at Adedempo around Jamestown. All these happened in the day. So the question really was going to be that, it happens in the day anyway, and we've not seen a lot of that in the night. So what should be different? But you said, of course, that we are seeking to improve the economy for the night, so there'll be a lot of money and things held around. What should happen to digitalization? But you mentioned technology. How can we use technology to improve security? We're talking about cashless society. These are all technological things we can do to reduce the flow of money that will make the work of robbers or bad people in the night, quite fruitless if they want to do it, because we'll not have a lot of money running around. Is that a difficult thing to do, or you think it's very feasible?
Well, I think it's feasible. However, it has its pros and cons, okay? I school outside of the country. The last time I was on campus, I went to buy snacks, just a sandwich. And they were like, they don't accept cash. So I had to use my card, okay? So if we digitalize transactions, I think it would help prevent people from holding money on themselves. We've had a number of reported cases of robberies against accountants who at the end of the day are taking monies to the bank, or even against bullion vans who have gone to businesses to take monies to the bank, and even with police protection, like it happened at Jamestown. And so having money electronically to a large extent helps. However, this would also give an opportunity to the scammers. I receive a lot of these calls these days. The last call I received was ostensibly from my bank, saying they are going to connect my bank to my Ghana card, and so I should give them this number, that number. But I knew instantly, right from the word go, that these were scammers. But how many people out there are like me? I know of a woman who had a whole life savings taken away by these scammers. I mean, she had about 8,000 Ghana cedis. She sells at Makola. Then they called her. We mistakenly sent you money, but that is not money. It's airtime. So send it back to us, and we'll send you the money. And she did, because she doesn't understand. So with education too, so people improve on their cyber hygiene, it really helps. And I must say, a lot of people are ignorant about their cyber security. We click on everything we see and we believe everything we see online. Can you believe that at the height of COVID-19, people believed clicking on links to have COVID tested on them? How can you test COVID online? But people believed it. And I even had directors of state institutions sending it to me and telling me to try it. But what they forget is there's phishing. Okay, so when you click on these links, the criminals are able to grab all of your information, including your bank details. Recently, a friend of mine who enjoys using his card everywhere he goes was sleeping at 2 a.m. and started hearing notifications on his phone. He didn't really pay attention. By 4 a.m., they had cleared all of his accounts. And I asked him, did you use your card somewhere and save? He was like, yes, recently he used it on an airliner on his way abroad because he needed to subscribe to watch some movies. And I know of another man who went to Dubai. He bought a lot of items, used his card, and the next minute, all of his money was taken. And when he came to me, we did the investigation, and guess what? The monies were stolen from an ATM in northern Indonesia. You know, so that tells you how complicated things have been done. So we really have to build on our cyber infrastructure, and I think largely we have the infrastructure, we have the legal regime, and we have the finest cybersecurity experts. For the first time in the history of Ghana, we had a cybersecurity advisor to the president in the name of Mr. Busiaku, who is now the Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority. We didn't have it.
Very well.
And the general, just before we left, we had a cybersecurity policy document, which has since been reviewed by this government. So I think that we have to combine it with education. Education is extremely key. So people are aware of their environment.
Sani, thanks so much for your insight on this matter. Thanks so much. And we'll be speaking again as the discussion of the 24-hour economy grows. Security is a very major part of it. And thank you for your insight. Adib Sani is a security analyst, and he's just provided his perspective on the 24-hour economy and what security should look like. He says we need to increase the numbers because criminals operate under the cover of darkness. Yes, that is what he says. All right, so we're just wrapping up. Honorable, just give you a few minutes to, I don't know which of the areas you want to touch on, but maybe if you could, the 24-hour economy, will it be industry specific? How will you start? You know, obviously we've discussed generally around the table that it cannot be across the country. It will be in specific area. But can we say, for example, that we start in Tema, industrial hub of Ghana, Tema, let's incentivize them, let's see if it can happen there. And then based on the results we get there, we can tweak it and replicate same across other sectors. I mean, in concluding, put everything together.
Let me repeat what I said at the beginning, that we have run into a serious malfunctions in our economy, challenges in our economy that needs real commitment to restore it. It will require that we increase production at all levels. It will also require that we support industry to grow above the present operational levels. That requires a 24-hour economy. And it depends largely on the area of industry or area of commitment that will require 24 hours. It's not like we are going to legislate, everybody do 24 hours. That's what the MPP doesn't seem to understand, that we are bringing an economy, a policy that will require, even here they don't need it, here they don't need it. We are not saying compulsorily everybody do 24 hours. Yeah, so what we are doing will create the value, will create the need for it, and we are not going to waste time in implementing it because it requires what we have gotten to now requires a 24-hour economy, and that's what we want to do. And in 2006, when I entered Parliament, I was 1 year in Parliament. President Kufuor had done a law that required the stoppage in importation of rice. It banned the importation of rice. In 2006, he brought back the law and said that, look, we can't go that length. We can't go that direction. We want the law to be repealed so that we can have importation of rice and other products into the country. So we had been there before. We have gotten to know where the problem was. And we opposed it at that level. We said, look, once you have implemented it and Ghanaians are working hard to meet the requirements, why don't you just try it for 2 more years or 3 more years? They said, no, let's just cancel it. And they canceled it. Today, they're bringing it back and say they want to now regulate and control the economy. One person will sign for you to be able to import something and etc. So we think that this thing has to be thought through very carefully before we introduce a regulation in our economy, which will now become a big source of corruption and discrimination in how we operate the economy in terms of import and export.
I see. So,
but in the end, we want a combination of efforts, and we are calling on everybody, including the MPP, to work hard to make sure that we operate a 24-hour economy that can restore the economy to its fullest of growth. It's embarrassing. The Ghana should be a leader in everything. We are a leader in gold production, leader in cocoa production, lithium is coming, everything is coming on board, and yet we are becoming the most ridiculed country in the world. Our currency cannot stand the test of time. Our production levels are reducing. Things are happening that don't. If you look at the league table, we are going back and back and back. From 78 billion, we have gotten up to 72 billion. Things are running. We are running behind the scenes. So we think that a lot has to be done.
Very well.
And we want a 24-hour economy to restore the situation.
Very well. Dennis says he's not speaking about 24-hour economy again. So I'm wondering if you have concluding remarks.
Yes. My concluding remark is to bring it to a complete finality and say that they should calm down. There's no rush. They should take their time, go back. Fortunately, they've been able to, through some of you assistants, collate a lot of questions which they can answer now and come up with a very solid, strategy towards enhancing 24-hour economy. They are not the ones coming to create a 24-hour economy. It is there. But their strategy is to enhance a 24-hour economy. And then you made the point that where we are in our economy, it requires a 24-hour economy. That is not true. Our economy requires certain things that need to be done in terms of boosting local production, reducing our dependence on import, which will translate into industrialization, which may not necessarily translate in 24 hours. We can reduce import through local production, and we may not need 24 hours, and we can still create employment. So somebody is producing 10 gallons of this now. He gets another machine and can double the employment and produce 20, which may not necessarily require the person necessarily staying up all night. That's what we are saying. It's just we trying to bring that to fore, that we can fix these things through some operating 24 hours and others not necessarily operating 24 hours. Because you tell us that your core objective is to create employment. And I tell you that, yes, it can be created, but don't come and lie to us that it is going to be created because of a certain 24-hour economy. If I produce 10 of this in a day because I have one plant, and you give me support to get a second plant, I can still produce 20 of this during the day with a double employment and not necessarily stay up all night. Another company would also still operate 24 hours and double the numbers. That is the logic we are trying to bring up here. And we will not allow anybody to just throw things in the air and go to sleep. Now that they have admitted that they are putting their document together and like you rightly assess them, it's being worked on, it is working.
I don't know what you mean by
But why? You are assistant, you are a moderator, you are assisting the conversation.
Yes, I've also assisted you.
That's fine. That's
okay.
fine. So let me still indicate to the one that it is being worked on. Hopefully, they finish and then we come back to the conversation. And the main reason why we are doing this is because we have seen it before. They came, they told us all of these things, we gave them power, and they basically didn't do even 2 of the 25 things that they mentioned. And so they have to simply be ready to respond to it, and they should amend whatever they are coming out with. The final document cannot read creation of 24-hour
economy. The creation is your problem.
Because
you want them to say
there.
Enhance.
No, yes.
No, you want them to say enhance.
Yes.
I see.
Everything all governments do is to enhance the economy, which could translate into 24 hours or not, and will still get the same results with boosting local production and also creating employment. So what you are coming to do is to enhance, because you are not the one coming to tell VIP to operate 24 hours. They are doing it already. You are not the one coming to tell Uber to operate 24 hours. They are doing it already. But what you are saying you will come and do is to enhance it.
I see.
And that document should read enhancement and not try to fraudulently put some words
not create.
Out
okay, that's fine. All right, your final comments on any of the issues.
No, my final comments are on the LI.
Then he doesn't like the LI. He likes 24 hours.
But why?
No, Bando's choice.
No, okay. On record. I have not said that.
I'm not saying like, as in the discussion.
You are interrupting me.
Okay. I'm sorry, but the moderator mentioned it.
No, but in truth, listen, the 24-hour economy can happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, we would like to think of it on a more holistic. With respect to the LI, until we see specific measures that will mitigate the huge opportunities for corruption, that will mitigate the price increases that will hit the common man. At this moment, with the information we have, we say no. Let's get some more information. Let's find how you're going to make sure that the price of chicken doesn't go up, the price of rice doesn't go up, and then how you're going to, in the medium term, increase local production, not just leave them as it is now. There's no access to finance. We are still rain-fed, right? Talk to the poultry farmers. The price of feed is so high. What are we doing to do? Or what are we doing to get all these things into what do you call? And some of them I really don't understand. Yemadia is a byproduct. It's not the most.
24-hour economy.
All right, very well.
It's a byproduct. I'm not sure I understand exactly what is going to, unless you're going to increase the production of cattle
to increase Yemadia, release onto the market.
Yes.
Perfect, stimulation of 24.
Otherwise, I have to say this. Okay. Otherwise, all that's going to happen is that in a few months' time, somebody is going to come to my office saying that I've got a license to go and come and import rice. Can you finance me?
Yeah, that one will happen. And you finance and you take, the interest.
Oh, and so
I may end up financing even though against my better instincts.
Franklin, your final words.
I hope the bill never sees the light of day. And it's a season of the silly, isn't it? The elections, and so we'll be
the silly season of politics.
A number of promises. I think Ghanaians should be asking politicians essentially questions about how they are quantifying, putting numbers to their promises, and actually provide us a pro forma invoice as well. The next best alternative as well when they suggest certain, when they make certain promises for us. I think it's important, and they should be watching sentiments, especially on social media. Anytime a politician makes a promise or says something, they should just watch sentiments. And we are coming out with some sentiment analysis that we'll be sharing every month as the elections draw near.
Very well. Thanks so much. 2 messages before we go.
Samens and Bernard will be paying less electricity this month. just
because
it's been reduced.
The 1% reduction.
Yes.
The 1% reduction.
Yes. But when it's increased by even 20 pesos, you say
when it's increased by 50%,
but when it's increased by even 20 pesos, but
it's all good.
No, say it's not
1.52%.
You haven't said a minute. It came 2 days ago. You haven't said
because it's insignificant.
You've said 24 hours more than that.
All right. So
just say
two messages. This one is good for you. So listen. Good morning. I think the 24-hour economy is good, but I'm very interested in details of this wonderful program. For instance, we need financial aspects of the program. How many Ghanaians will get employed? How much cost are we going to pay for this initiative? The good people of Ghana, we really need enough details to convince us of the practicality of this program. Also, Citi FM operates 24 hours. How different is this from the new proposal? Please explain further. Sam from Ijumako. All right, thanks so much. My guests on the program today have been Dr. Abdul Rashid Popu, Member of Parliament for Wa Central, Dennis Abuaji, Miracles, Presidential Staffer Joe Jackson, Director of Business Operations, Dilex Finance, Franklin Kujo, President, Himani Africa. Also heard Professor John Gachi, Dean of School of Business, UCC, Kwesi Nyamiche, Ashanti Regional Chairman of the AGI, and Adib Sani, a security analyst. My name is Selom Adonu. Thanks for being with us. Catch you same time next week. Have a good afternoon.